everybody. I'm Jordan. You've seen me in a couple other videos, so uh, I won't annoy you. We'll just get right into things. I'm joined here by T. Will and A1 Forever. We're going to be
Yes, sir.
discussing the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025 and the nominees, senior nominees, modern era nominees. We're not going to touch on contributors. They still got to work things out on the contributors side, but we'll look into all the nominees, give our own thoughts and opinions on each of them. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Chris,
Uh,
you go first, buddy.
oh shoot, man. Well, Chris Tipmore, A1 Forever Sports, and also 1/4 of the 95 North Sports Machine. Please come by and check out our latest live as we had Falcons legend Todd McClure on. Broke down, some with Max Protection, broke down his Chiefs and Falcons preview. So make sure you go online and check out that. Definitely a great watch. And I'm just happy to be up here, man. Talking about something different. The Pro Football Hall of Fame, man. I'm ready to get it.
I should have gone first. I am T. Will from obviously One Time for the Fan that can be heard Sunday nights at 8, Wednesday nights at 8, and Friday morning at 9 a.m. We did not have Todd McClure this morning, but we did have Chef Matt from the Atlanta Falcons. I know, not the same comparison. Anyway, I'm also
Yes.
a
Hey,
member.
man. Chef Matt still good.
Hey, Chef Matt is the dude, man. Love me some Chef Matt. Love his food, by the way. Anyway, I'm also 1/4 of the One Time for the Fan crew and show. Shout out to Mr. Jack Spade, Bode, and Carrie. And last but not least, I have my own channel that is for my ATL Sports 1 on YouTube, the number 4, my ATL Sports 1 on YouTube. And I am happy to be here. And let's get to this Hall of Fame comparison. Jordan,
Oh,
right ahead.
oh, real quick.
All right.
Also got a shout out. I'm saying the plug, man. RJ ATL, man. It's also I'm saying the plug always providing the breaking news and everything, sending it straight to us when we need it. So shout out to my brother too, and he be talking them Braves too. So
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. With us. Anyway, go ahead, Jordan. Sorry.
Can you see the website
yes,
on
can
your?
see it. Can
Yes.
You
see it.
see the 167 modern era players.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, wow.
Big and
For
bold.
some reason I can't see it, but I
Oh,
can
God.
see the website, but I can't see like the link in the stream. But if you guys can see it, that means it's working. Um, all right, let's get to it. We're just gonna dive right into it. So I want to explain how this works. When it comes to modern era players, a maximum of 5 players can get inducted, a minimum of 3. In this case scenario, we're just going to say 5. 3 is rarely happens unless it's a really bad class.
Mhm.
Most of the time, 5 get inducted. When it comes to senior nominees, it's a little different. Senior nominees, now it's a maximum of 3. A couple years ago, it was a little different. This year, maximum of 3, minimum of 1 get in. We'll touch on the senior nominees later. But when it give me 1 second. All right. So with the quarterbacks, quarterbacks are right here. There's 10 quarterbacks: Mark Bulger, Randall Cunningham, Jake Delhomme, Doug Flutie, Rich Gannon, Jeff Garcia, Donovan McNabb, Eli Manning in his first year of eligibility. Anytime you see someone underline, it's their first year of eligibility. You had to have last played. It says it right up there. I'm on the Pro Football Hall of Fame website for anyone wondering. You had to have last played in 2019 in order to be eligible for this Hall of Fame class. On top of that, Steve McNair and Tony Romo. So, what do you guys think about this group of quarterbacks for the modern era? And do you think any can get in this class, or maybe you think they should get in, or maybe they'll get in down the road?
I think
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm not a judge into the NFL Hall of Fame.
I
Jeez,
know that's right.
that's tough, man. Wow. And you're talking a maximum of 5 players total?
Yeah, out of this group.
Yes.
Holy cheese balls. Wow. Uh, I would have to say, Eli, which sounds weird.
Tough
Uh,
to go against that.
there's some other. I mean, you got Randall Cunningham, Mark Bolton, definitely a good quarterback. I think he played for the Rams, right? I think,
Yeah.
Right, number 10.
yeah. Donovan was pretty good. From this list, and it's funny because not to take it away from Eli, but I've had this debate with folks, and they've said, Matt Ryan might not get there the first couple of rounds. And looking at this list, I understand it because he's going to be on the list with some heavy hitters. But from quarterbacks, I'm going to say Eli. I'm thinking Steve McNair, but I really would have to look at his numbers in comparison to the others. Jake Delhomme fell off at the end. I mean, he played great. He got into the Super Bowl, but he fell off a cliff after that. Doug Flutie is definitely a sentimental favorite. I just don't know that he has the numbers. Again, it's kind of hard to consider this without looking at numbers, but I'm offhand for quarterbacks. I'm gonna say Eli. Um, what say you, Chris?
Man, that is rough. That's rough. I mean, a name that sticks out, of course, is Randall Cunningham. Um, but you look at the list, and honestly, it's hard not to go with Eli because I know he has the 2 rings and everything, but I'm trying to really pick someone else, but it's hard, man, because you look at the list. I mean, okay, you have a lot of capable quarterbacks that have some different resumes, but yeah, man, for me, if it's any quarterback, it's going to be either Cunningham, Eli Manning. I don't think Donovan gets in just yet. I think Donovan may get in, but I don't think it's this year. I could be wrong, but I'm going with Eli or Randall Cunningham as far as quarterback.
Now, do you guys actually think Eli's going to get in, or is he just? I mean, it sounds like you guys definitely think Eli is the most deserving of this group, but do you think he gets in first ballot?
I think, well, yeah, I do. A, because he's from the royal Manning family, and B,
Yeah.
if I'm being honest, he's over at that network, and they're probably going to push for him to get. So I do. I think he does get in first ballot.
Dang, I'm talking about really. You took the words out of my mouth, honestly, because those are those are factors. Honestly, you got to factor in. Eli is likable too. You got to think about that too. The voters may be like, "Hey, I like Eli. Let me go and throw him in there." It's just. And again, out of that list right there, he's the one that has the most hardware. So, yeah.
Now, my thoughts on this. I'll go through really quickly. I won't even say why for some of them, why they should be in or not. When it comes to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's a little different from like. So, all right, us at Old Legacy, we have our own Hall of Fame. It's very more wide open. Chris has been one of the people that have inducted some of the players. We're very open minded when it comes to people who should be in the Hall of Fame. It's more about, can you tell the history of a franchise without the player? And if you can't, then they really should be in our Hall of Fame. So Pro Football Hall of Fame is more of like prestigious category, but then they have question marks and more asterisks next to certain guys. We're a little bit more open-minded. Mark Bulger, I'm not even going to ever consider him for our Hall of Fame. Randall Cunningham should be in the Hall of Fame, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In terms of, I was thinking about this last night. I was like, when you're talking about generations of mobile quarterbacks, the NFL started out where most quarterbacks were mobile. Then as time progressed, people became more pocket passers. We were looking more for intelligence. In terms of mobile quarterbacks, Otto Graham was the first great mobile quarterback. People are probably going to say Fran Tarkenton. I wouldn't call Fran Tarkenton a mobile quarterback. I would call him a scrambling quarterback. It's a little different. He's great behind the line of scrimmage, scrambling all over the place. But when it came to actually running, it's a little different. Then after that, few decades later, you got Randall Cunningham and Steve Young. And then a few years later, Michael Vick. You can't tell the history of the mobile quarterback without Randall Cunningham. And he's led quarterbacks in multiple rushing categories throughout his career. He's statistically one of the greatest mobile quarterbacks ever. He is a solid passing quarterback. You can't tell the history of that 1998 Vikings team without Randall Cunningham. And I haven't even mentioned his time on the Eagles. So I do think he should be in. Jake Delhomme probably should go into the Gridiron Hall of Fame. That's what we call ours. But Pro Football Hall of Fame, he's not going to touch that. Doug Flutie, I believe he is in the Gridiron Hall of Fame.
I think so.
But actually, he's in as a Canadian Football League player. He's not in as a NFL quarterback. So I don't think he should be in either. Statistically, he's not great. Rich Gannon's got an MVP. Statistically, pretty solid career. I don't think he should get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think he had a high peak, but he doesn't have much anything else. Jeff Garcia, solid career. I don't think he should touch the Pro Football Hall of Fame either. Donovan McNabb's an interesting one. Mobile. He's mobile. He's statistically up there in terms of mobile quarterbacks and the rushing stats. And passing wise, he finished his career statistically as a really good quarterback. And he took the Eagles. He helped take the Eagles to 4 straight NFC Championship games, with Terrell Owens as his only good receiving target for 1 year. So I think McNabb. I don't like McNabb. I'm gonna be straight up and honest. As an Eagles fan, don't like him. I never have. I appreciate what he did though for the franchise, and that's different. By the time I started watching McNabb, it was towards the end of his career, so I never got to see those NFC Championship games.
Okay.
But I respect what he did for the franchise, and he was one of the best quarterbacks of that decade. So I think he should be in. Eli, I'm not even going to question it. I think he should be a Hall of Famer. This shouldn't be a topic of conversation. 2 Super Bowls. He's got the Pro Bowls. He's statistically among the greatest quarterbacks of all time in terms of career perspective. He was never elite. Let's be frank and honest with that. He's never been elite. I don't think he's going to get in first ballot. I think the Manning name could push him in first ballot, but I think when it comes to, they're going to say, how elite was he? He was never elite. That's the thing. His worst years were among the worst of this century. But his best years, he was clutch. He beat everybody, and not just Tom Brady. He beat other quarterbacks. And yes, he did have the help, but he was always the starting quarterback, and he was never putting his team in harm's way. So yes, Eli should definitely be a Hall of Famer. It's not even a question. First ballot. They've been stingy in the last couple of years, so I'm going to say no. Steve McNair, rest in peace, Steve McNair. I believe Steve McNair should be a Hall of Famer. His impact during the 2000s was so unique in his style of play, late 90s, early 2000s, especially with the Titans. Maybe that's a little biased. I think that's probably the most biased pick for me of this whole group is Steve McNair.
But does he get in this year, though?
No.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think McNair will ever go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I think that sucks. And I love Steve McNair. I love watching highlights of him. I don't think he'll ever go in, but I think he deserves to be in.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
And then finally, Tony Romo. No.
Go
ahead.
All right. Honestly, guys. So, and maybe I need a rubric that would, for the mobile quarterbacks, include their rushing yards. But just for comparison's sake, Eli Manning threw for 57,000 yards total, and got I think the rest of the class beat by like I want to say 20,000 at least.
Yeah.
So just for comparison's sake, and he beat the Patriots in their perfect season. Let's not forget they were perfect, and they would have been perfect without and not only that, that throw in that game was remarkable. And look, I'm not a Giants fan at all. I have no dog in this fight, but that play to me sums up Eli's career. There are three guys that are on him on that play. Shakes off one, and it's critical. That play is, if he not make it, I don't think they win the game. Shakes off one, right? Shakes off another, and then his offensive guard knocks the guy off of him, and he chunks that ball up there, flings it up there. And I think it was David Tyree. I sound like a giant. Anyway, David Tyree goes up, catches it on his head, comes down. I mean, look, I could make a movie about this. In my humble opinion, you combine all of that, he gets in first ballot. He's a man.
But the thing about it is, you can make an argument that the throw in the second title game to Mario Manningham
was
going
even
to
better.
The sideline could have been even better.
It wasn't even better.
That the window and the margin for error on that throw.
Yeah.
So I mean,
hey,
he got some highlights. Yeah, definitely has highlights.
I think he had highlights in the big moments, right? Because let's be honest, not just that you do it, but you have to do it when it counts, right? When it counts, when it matters most. I think Eli was one of those guys that if you get him to the show, he's going to show up. I played with guys who, they were decent, but you put a little pressure on them. If it's for everything, if it's for the marbles, they kind of shrink. Eli did the opposite. When it mattered, Eli was Superman. To your point, Chris, that throw to the sideline probably was a better throw because he put it where only his guy could get it. It was a remarkable throw and a remarkable catch. But again, that first one in 2007, the degree of difficulty to shake off three guys, not one, not two, not three. Eli was never a mobile quarterback. To shake off three guys and fling that thing up there with sheer will, I got to give it to him. In my opinion, he's first ballot. But anyway, Jordan.
Shout out to the celebrity in the chat, man. Zay in the bag, man.
Hey, what's going on? I don't know if Jordan wants you in here, Zay.
Zay been going off, man.
Zay was
viral from that Eagles game.
Yeah, man. He was really bad to your Eagle fan base, man. He was really bad. So I don't know if you want him in here, Jordan. I'm just saying.
It's fine.
Nah, man. Shout out to Zay, man. Doing this thing, enjoying life.
He represented the Falcons. Yeah, but go ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I want to kind of get to other positions because I think we could talk about all the quarterbacks for a very long time.
Yeah, we can make that a video.
Yes. But
maybe we should. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Maybe that'll be our next.
Exactly. So we'll move on to running backs. I'm going to quickly just rapid fire them. Sean Alexander, Terry Allen, Jamal Anderson, Tiki Barber, Larry Centers, fullback technically, Jamal Charles, Stephen Davis, Corey Dillon, Warwick Dunn, Charlie Gardner, Eddie George, Priest Holmes, Steven Jackson, Chris Johnson, Thomas Jones, John Kuhn, fullback, Vontae Leach, fullback, Dorsey Levens, Jamal Lewis, Marshawn Lynch, Eric Metcalf, also returner, wide receiver, Glenn Milburn, also wide receiver, Lorenzo Neal, also fullback, Clinton Portis, Tony Richardson, fullback, Robert Smith, Darren Sproles, also return specialist, Fred Taylor, Chris Warren, Ricky Waters, Ricky Williams. So in terms of this group, also Fred Taylor has the asterisk. The asterisk means that they were a finalist for last year's class of 2024. So they were one step away from being in the Hall of Fame. Marshawn Lynch and Darren Sproles are the first-year eligible guys. What do we think about running backs / fullbacks and some returners in there?
I think
that's a deep list.
Jeez, man.
That's a deep list. For me, obviously, Fred Taylor would be somebody that you got to look at just because he was a finalist last year. They may just was saying that, hey, maybe not this year, but it could be 2025. We'll see. I mean, Freaky T, man, I ain't gonna lie. If you don't know about Fred Taylor, I mean, I know he played for the Jaguars, but homie could get down. So that's definitely one. I mean, of course, Warwick Dunn. Hey, I can't help but see Warwick Dunn there, man. Great career. Even better what he's doing off the field nowadays, So it's just that's always definitely going to be a name. Corey Dillon is an underrated name up there, if you ask me. Man, Ricky Waters. Ricky Waters has been waiting for a while. Man, that's tough. It's so many names. But okay, so Fred Taylor, definitely is somebody that's up there. Oh man, if I could choose one more running back, that's tough.
Remember, we only have 5 in the 5 total.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like it's hard to even go because you got Eddie George there who had a great career. Like I said, it's a lot of good names in there.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna go with Fred Taylor, man. As far as like someone getting in out of this bunch this year, because he was the closest last year. A lot of great names in there, though.
Yeah.
Terry, what's your thoughts?
Sheesh. I mean, okay, so I'm gonna work my way backwards, right? Priest Holmes was a madman, but I think he
short career.
Yeah, very short career. That's what I'm saying. He kind of fell off. If we're talking impact, Warwick Dunn really did it with 2 franchises.
Mm-hmm.
But Warwick Dunn was always a part of a duo or triumvirate. So, with Tampa Bay, it was him and Mike Allstott. With ATL, it was him, Mike Vick, and Duckett.
TJ Duckett. Mm-hmm.
But he's a Falcon. I honestly, Darren Sproles to me embodies everything because there was nothing he couldn't do, and he was shifty, and you couldn't bring him. He was a pain in the ass. You couldn't.
Man, you ain't lying. I couldn't stand Darren Sproles.
I mean,
respectfully,
I gotta put Darren Sproles on that list. You know what I mean? And I love Warwick. But if we're talking about if I can only pick 5, and no disrespect to Fred Taylor, but Marshawn Lynch was Seattle with those teams. I don't think they get there. You know what I mean? Without Marshawn Lynch, I don't think they win that Super Bowl without. So I'm gonna go from this list, and I know I'm gonna take some grief, but I'm gonna go Darren Sproles and Marshawn Lynch. That's without and Eric Metcalf. Great, but I only got 5, Eric.
Man, let me tell you something. I would be absolutely stunned if Marshawn Lynch went in as a first ballot.
Oh, he probably won't, but I'm just saying, I know he won't. You know what I mean? I'm just doing.
I'd be stunned if he gets in before 2030.
He probably won't, but I'm just saying, looking at the impact, right? Like I halfway want to say Eddie George, but I'm not.
Yeah, good name.
I only have 5. Like if you open it up to 20, cool. But I only got 5. I only have 5 spots. I've used one with Eli, and if just through my eyes and watching this, Darren Sproles was unstoppable. Like he was just a pest. You couldn't stop him. Hell, half the time, if you're a defensive lineman, you couldn't see him, and he was through the gap and gone. So I got him. And then, like for me, I tell you, look at it this way: if those idiots who coached, I shouldn't say that. If Seattle hands the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, they have 2 they're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. They're back to back. So yeah, I'm gonna say
And Marshawn has a Super Bowl MVP for sure.
right. Yeah, so I'm gonna say Marshawn and Dan. Just my opinion. Jordan, what say you, sir?
I think that probably half these guys should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But I don't think any of them are going to get in this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sucks. I think they do a disgrace on running backs. I think there's I will get to the senior nominees, but the list is huge. Sean Alexander should have walked in about a decade ago. He's all time one of the top leaders in terms of rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
Terry Allen, I don't think so. Jamal Anderson, I don't think so. Tiki Barber, he's got the rushing, he's got the all-purpose yards.
Himself,
but yeah, Tiki didn't do himself justice. Larry Centers, all-time receiving fullback, one of the greatest you could argue he's the greatest receiving fullback ever. Jamal Charles, I never liked Jamal Charles, but
you showed
in terms of his average yards per carry, it was great. Steven Davis, solid career, no. Corey Dillon, I think Corey Dillon could get in. I think Warwick Dunn could get in, not Charlie Gardner. Eddie George should have been in. Priest Holmes should have been in years ago. Steven Jackson should walk in. Anyone who grew up watching Steven Jackson knows just how great he was on that terrible St. Louis Rams team.
He was the team for years.
Carried them. He was consistent and elite for years. Chris Johnson should walk into that Hall of Fame.
Hey, real quick, that's why Steven Jackson, when he got to Atlanta, he didn't have anything left.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Johnson should be in. Thomas Jones, I don't think so. John Kuhn, when it comes to fullbacks, it's a little different than running backs. Because like John Kuhn, Vontae Leach, Lorenzo Neal, Tony Richardson, all four of those guys are four of the greatest fullbacks of the modern era, since fullbacks stopped running a lot. And based off of that statement alone, all four should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, everybody remembers the Kuhn chants in Green Bay. Vontae Leach was one of the greatest. He is one of the greatest modern fullbacks. I think Juszczyk is better than him, but I don't think anyone else is.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Neal, everywhere he went, there was an elite rushing offense. And same thing with Tony Richardson. Everywhere he went, elite rushing offense. So I think all four should be in the Hall of Fame. Jamal Lewis, I put in the same category as Priest Holmes. I think Jamal Lewis should walk in. Marshawn Lynch, if running backs were treated better, Marshawn Lynch should be a first ballot Hall of Famer because of how his career has gone and just his impact on the Seahawks. I mean, he should have carried them to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he's one of the greatest running backs of the 2010s. He should be in. Eric Metcalf, for a multitude of different reasons, should be in. As a returner, he should be in.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Glenn Milburn, I don't know about that. Clinton Portis, I
like Clinton Portis.
I liked Clinton Portis a lot. But I don't know. Same thing with Robert Smith, I think, is a very good running back, but I don't know. Darren Sproles, as an overall, I mean, he's on the 2010s All-Decade team. As an overall player, he should be walking into the Hall of Fame. Maybe not first ballot, but probably second or third. He will get the Billy White Shoes Johnson treatment, and I'll get to Billy White Shoes later. Fred Taylor should have been in a while ago. Chris Warren, I don't know. Ricky Waters should have been he should have been in probably 20 years ago. Yeah. Ricky Waters, that one frustrates me, I think, the most of this whole list, why Ricky Waters is not in the Hall of Fame. What he was able to do in the 90s as a receiving back and rushing is insane. When I do my calculation for projected stats, his numbers grow so much to the point that he should be considered one of the greatest all-purpose running backs of all time,
Yeah.
and he doesn't get that emphasis.
He-
Um,
I don't know why.
and he should be in.
Yeah.
And then finally, Ricky Williams. I don't think Ricky has the accolades. That's really it. I think statistically, you grab his numbers and then throw it onto like a running back who's made like 4 Pro Bowls, maybe
Uh,
1 All Pro. I think that's a Hall of Fame career.
well,
But because he doesn't have those accolades, probably not going in.
Hmm.
got a
Yeah.
little trouble too.
I think Ricky. When I think of Ricky Waters, I think of that angle route he ran in that Super Bowl '94,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just Ricky was unstoppable. That he was unstoppable. I mean, just unstoppable. And I think he's kind of overshadowed by his teammates, Jerry Rice, Steve Young. Uh, that '94 team was a Hall of Fame team. But Ricky Waters was phenomenal, and that maybe overshadowed by some of the Cowboys. But I would agree. I think Ricky should have been in. I think he should get in. But again, for the purposes of our list, I can only pick 5. So I've picked 3 already. Let's go ahead and go to receivers if you're okay with it, Jordan.
Yeah, let's go to receivers. So
Ooh,
we got
boy.
Anquan Bolden, Donald Driver, Antonio Freeman, Irving Fryer, Torrey Holt, Joe Horn, Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, Brandon Marshall, Derek Mason, Herman Moore, Muhsin Muhammad, Jordy Nelson, Andre Rison, Jimmy Smith, Rod Smith, Steve Smith Sr., Demarius Thomas, Hines Ward, Reggie Wayne, Wes Welker, Roddy White. There's some
Ooh,
elite
boy.
receivers in this group. What do we
Man,
think?
80% of this list should be
This isn't even fair.
man, for real, man. I ain't gonna lie, Anquan Bolden, such an underrated receiver, man. A guy that you were as a linebacker or a safety, you was afraid to go across the middle against him.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a big.
yeah, man. Donald Driver, great career. Antonio Freeman, I liked Antonio Freeman. I feel like he was an underrated guy. Irvin Fryer, I mean, come
Yeah,
on now. Torrey Holt, shoot. I mean, all I'm saying is if Isaac can get in, Torrey definitely got to be getting in sometime soon here. Joe Horn, okay, okay. Chad Johnson, Chad Johnson, yeah. Ocho Cinco, yeah. Brandon Marshall, hmm. Ah, I'm not sure about Brandon Marshall. I ain't gonna lie to you. I actually like Derek Mason more because Derek Mason was very underrated. Herman Moore had a good career. He was with the Lions. Musa Muhammad, um, very good, very good career with the Panthers, Bears. Jordy Nelson. Jordy, I don't think Jordy's going to get in. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm going to say that right now. Andre Rison should be in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Smith, I like him. Rod Smith, that's Broncos Rod Smith, right?
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, should be there. He should be there. Steve Smith Sr., hey, man, he was a Carolina Panther too. But honestly, Mooson doesn't even get the attention that he gets if Steve Smith isn't playing with him. Demarius Thomas, RIP. Um,
yeah.
Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in just because of what happened with him. Honestly,
Right.
I'm just saying like more recent than some of these other guys, just because. Hines Ward, I like Hines Ward, should be a Hall of Famer. Reggie Wayne, Wes Welker, Roddy White, all should be Hall of Famers. All should be Hall of Famers. Who I feel like may get in out of this group this year, I'm gonna go with Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, Andre Rison. I'm gonna go with one of those 3, and of course, like I said, Demarius Thomas, just off of how he of his passing and how it happened and everything. Maybe I'll put that as an honorable mention, just if it's a tearjerker. But yeah, but one of those 3 guys that I had named, I think gets in this year. 2 of those guys being finalists last year. Andre Rison should already be there. A lot of these guys should already be there, honestly. But yeah, I'm gonna go with one of those 3 of definitely getting in this year.
Yeah. Wow. So I look. I got 2 spots left, right? Because I mean, you could take a look at this, and again, 3/4 of these guys should be in already. If they're not, I mean, I look. Being a Falcon fan, obviously Andre Bad Moon Rising and Mr. Rowdy Roddy White. But if I got to pick, right? Shame on you, Jordan, making me pick from this list. If I got to pick,
Rough.
it comes down to Steve Smith and Reggie Wayne because I'm looking at yards. I'm looking at receiving yards. And I'm gonna hate to do it because he's a Panther, but I'm gonna take Steve Smith just because in some of those teams he was the only threat going deep. I think he has 4,000 something yards. I think he and Reggie both have 14,000. I don't know. Again, you could take this entire list, bro. I'm not saying you can't, but just say in comparison to Roddy and Steve or Roddy and Reggie, I think Roddy has 10,000 all-time yards.
I
Steve
think so.
Smith
Yeah.
and Reggie are like, if I got to pick one, and I have 3 spots already taken, so I'm probably not going to be able to take a tight end. Then I'm gonna have to say Steve Smith if I have to pick one. Now, who should be in there? You give me that entire list. You can't go wrong with that entire list. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, on my list, since my assignment was 5 total,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be Steve Smith, and that's 4, which means a lot of folk on this list coming up are not going to get on. But that's me. Jordan, what say you?
I probably have like 12 guys on this list that should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Damn, you hit me.
Anquan Bolden, Irving Fryer, Torrey Holt. I'm not gonna fall for what the media and what social media has portrayed with Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco. I don't think he should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think he was an elite route runner, but when it comes to his accolades, when it comes down to his career statistics compared to those of his era, I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame at all. I don't know. I think he should be in the conversation, especially with some of these names, but I don't think I'm not thinking about him. I'm thinking about guys like Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall, everywhere he went, no matter who was throwing him the ball, he was elite. He was one of the best receivers in the whole league. He's got the reception record, most catches in a single game. Marshall has a Hall of Fame resume. He doesn't have the postseason. That's probably the only thing you can really discuss with him is he doesn't have the postseason success. That's it. That's a Hall of Fame career. Derek Mason, Hall of Fame career. Herman Moore, solid career. Same thing with Muhsin Muhammad and Jordy Nelson. Andre Rison should probably be in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Smith definitely needs to be. Rod Smith definitely needs to be. Steve Smith. There's an elite group of this 21. And I think Torrey Smith, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne should be in. Those are I don't think we'll get 3 in. I mean, we might get 2 in. I think there's been we've been backed up since like Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, since they got in, we've been backed up. And I would say before that, we were backed up even when Jerry Rice got in, because like we were waiting on Chris Carter and Andre Reed for a very long time, and they should have been in years ago. And I kind of put Torrey Holt, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne in that same conversation. Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace. I loved watching Demaryius. That sucks. That one hurts. I think he should be in, but he might not get in. He might get in as a senior nominee. We might be talking a few decades from now. I loved Demaryius Thomas. I loved watching him, man. Hines Ward, one of the greatest blocking receivers of all time. He should be in.
He would pancake people.
Mm-hmm. Hines should have been in. Reggie Wayne, no doubt about it. Wes Welker, I think Wes should have been in. And Roddy White, I think he should have been in. When it comes to, I think when I'm picking, so all right, I think I don't think Eli's getting in first ballot. I don't think any of the running backs are getting in. I think this is where I start my inductions. I would love for Torrey Holt, Steve Smith, and Reggie Wayne to all get in. The fact that Steve Smith wasn't a finalist last year tells me all I need to know. I'm going Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne. I think Torrey Holt should have been in before Isaac Bruce. No, there's no question about it. He should have been in the same class. If he got in the same, that would have been perfect. You put him in the same class, but no, they didn't. I'm going Torrey Holt. Reggie Wayne is an all-timer. And when I was putting together my all-time ranking of receivers, Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne are very high up there. I think they're in my top 25, top 20. They, in terms of what they've done in their careers everywhere, they have Hall of Fame resumes. So yeah, I'll go Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne.
Yeah, I like Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne. Like I said, I'm still going with maybe Fred Taylor, man, because he was a finalist last year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Tight ends. At least we ain't got a crazy list at tight end.
Yeah, we're gonna go a little smaller. There's 6 tight ends. There's Ben Coates, Vernon Davis, Antonio Gates, Jeremy Shockey, Delaney Walker. I've heard both from a lot of people, so I'm not 100% sure what the pronunciation is. And Wesley Walls. Who do we think's going in?
Gates, and that's it. I mean, it's no disrespect to nobody. I just feel like if they're going to pick a tight end, it's going to be Antonio Gates.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I only have one left, so I can't add him to my list. But if I were gonna add him, it'd be probably Vernon Davis and Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates really, and Tony Gonzalez really revolutionized the tight end position. So if I had to pick one, it'd be Antonio first, followed by Vernon. But I only have one pick left for me personally, so I'm not going to spend it on either one of them. Sorry, guys, but yeah, if you're talking about who's going in, probably Gates then Davis. Those are my thoughts. And guys, let's give the chat some love. So while it says what's going on, the Dixon Way says Antonio Freeman had the best catch on Monday night. He sure did. Oh my God!
He did.
On when Brett Favre's dad died. Was that the same night? Or was that a different?
No, that was against the Vikings. No. The Antonio Freeman catch.
Okay, all right. Reggie
that
Wayne.
Catch was crazy, by the way.
That catch was phenomenal. Reggie Wayne gets in, and Rising should be in there. Roddy can't go in before Rising. To be honest, I love me some Roddy. And then Wallace says Reggie Wayne will get in before Steve Smith. And I can't see. I don't think there's any. Oh, there are some other ones. It's just folks saying what's up. So yeah, Wallace and Zay in a bag. Say what up, and we are caught up. So there you go. All right, Jordan, what say you on this tight end situation?
All right. I mean, Ben Coates is one of the greatest tight ends in the '90s. He should have been in.
Yeah, I agree.
When I did my ranking of all-time tight ends, I think all of these tight ends except Delaney Walker were in my top 15 to 20 range. Vernon Davis should be a lock. I'm not first ballot, but based off what his resume and what he's done in his career, yeah, he should be in. Mm-hmm. And the one guy who angers me the most at all of the people in the Pro Football Hall of Fame committee, all you guys who vote on this, Antonio Gates is literally the second greatest tight end ever. He if there is no Tony Gonzalez, if he doesn't exist, we're talking about Antonio Gates in another hemisphere compared to everybody else. Yeah. That one frustrates me so much because him and Gonzalez are like this. When if you said one was better than the other, I won't argue. But then you got people who are saying Gronk and Kelsey. I get that. Kelsey's career is not over.
Right.
And Gronk was very injury prone. At his peak, is he the greatest tight end ever? Maybe.
Yeah.
But overall resume, Gronk has the rings and the postseason success. Gates has everything else.
He does. He has longevity.
Yeah.
Gates should have been in the another one that angered me. Gates should have been in the 100th anniversary team. I was furious.
Yeah.
Furious. He should have been in. There is no doubt in my mind he deserves to be in over every single other player on this list and the senior nominees list. No question in my mind. Rant over. Jeremy Shockey, yeah, he should be in. Shockey's had a solid career. In terms of when you're looking at over all the tight ends throughout NFL history, Shockey has had significant impact and statistically is among the best. Delaney Walker, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. He started off at fullback and then transitioned to tight end. He was backing up Vernon Davis. I think he had a great renaissance in his career when he went to the Titans. I don't think he's going to get in. And Wesley Walls, another guy sort of like Ben Coates. I think he had he was before the basketball era tight ends, and I think he should get in. But yeah, I think a lot of these guys should get in. I think we're again backloaded. We're backed up on tight ends, and then you got the quarterback position. That's like, oh, should Tony Romo get in? What? No. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the tight ends. Antonio Gates is surefire. Should have been first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, man. That's definitely what I got, man. That's why I said Antonio Gates, and that's about it. If they're gonna take a tight end, I just feel like it's gonna be Gates. But I agree. Everybody should definitely get in. You know, Delaney, maybe it's a little different, but yeah.
All right.
Offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman. I'm not going to go through all the names. I mean, we could spend an entire stream talking about like individually what each player did. There's 26 guys on here. Are there any names that sort of stand out to you guys that you think should get in or are going to get in?
What you think, T. Will?
That's tough, man. Joe Staley. To me, that's tough, man. I'm so glad I don't do this for a living. Gatekeep who gets in and who, because I mean that's that you could argue half these guys on here, but that jumps out to me. I'm right off. I'm gonna say Joe Staley, Bruce Armstrong, Wiz, but if we're talking about who probably gets in, I'm gonna say Joe Staley, and that's what I have. Again, I've one slot left, so I can't. We're talking about who gets in.
Man, a lot of these guys were so good, man. Goodness gracious.
Yes.
Even Jeff Saturday's name is out there. And oh man, but Joe Staley, that's a good one. Chris Snee. Logan Mankins was pretty good. Oh, definitely Olin Cruz. Goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of these guys, deserve to be on. To be honest with you, that it would be hard to pick from there. You can pit a couple of these guys in, honestly. But who I think may get in, like you talking this year? Oh man,
different story, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a different story. I actually think if it was anybody, it's gonna be somebody somebody that's been waiting. Because look at Jari Evans, he was a finalist, and so what I'm saying. Man, look, Jordan Gross, Mark Schlegel. I'm gonna have to say none of these guys get in, man.
Yeah, I could see it.
But I would put just about everybody in the Hall of Fame that's on this list. You got a lot of names, man. Out of 26 of these guys, you can, man, you can rapid fire 18 just, just,
Yeah.
just ASAP. Just oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. I don't have to make those decisions either. But I don't think any of these guys get in this year, man. As great as they were.
I think. I mean, yeah. I think 25 out of 26 of these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. The one guy is TJ Lang. I watched TJ Lang. I don't watch him and I say Hall of Fame career. I don't even think about that. That's not even a thought for me. But yeah, a lot of these guys, I mean, on first ballot, I mean, Travis Frederick, his retirement crushed the Cowboys offensive line. And Tyron Smith, in my opinion, is the strongest tackle in NFL history. He's had an injury prone career. Zach Martin is going to go up. He's going to be one of the greatest guards of all time. And Travis Frederick was the anchor. He did so much for that team. That was arguably the greatest offensive line in NFL history. And it sucks. I don't think he's going to get in because he didn't play long enough. And especially as an offensive lineman, Joe Thomas is really the only guy in that didn't play very long. Ryan Khalil, I think he had a very solid career. Like, his consistency is a Hall of Fame consistency. But I don't think he's going to get in. Joe Staley's going to get in at some point in the next year or two. I don't think he'll get in first ballot. Marshall Yanda, if any of these guys is going to get in first ballot, it's Marshall Yanda. He's one of the best guards of this century. He should be in first ballot. That's not my pick, though. I think, I kind of got to look at all the finalists, the two finalists, Jari Evans and Willie Anderson. I don't think Jari Evans. Yeah. I loved watching Jari Evans. He was awesome to watch. He was so consistent, and he was played at an elite level. I'm so glad he's getting the recognition that maybe these other guys aren't getting. But I don't think he gets in because he hasn't waited as long as Willie Anderson. I don't think Willie Anderson should be in over a lot of these guys, but because he's almost done, like, I think he's either this might be his last year as a modern era finalist, and then he'll be a senior finalist. So I think they'll push him in, and so. Yeah, my pick is going to be Willie Anderson. I think you got to get an offensive lineman in, especially with how many of these guys are great.
Yeah, man, that's true, man. That's true. A lot of guys, man. A lot of great names. Mm-hmm. Sorry, it is.
All right, defensive linemen. So, it's a weird way they structure this. It reminds me of how I used to structure my teams. I used to structure them with defensive linemen, linebackers, DBs, but instead we have interior defensive line, edge rushers, linebackers. So a little mix of a lot of these guys. 18 of these guys. I'm not going to go through all of them, but any names that stand out? Do you think that'll get in this year or maybe in the next year or two?
I mean, and I'm stuck on the first two with Mr. John Abraham and Mr. Jared Allen.
Yeah, I feel you.
Leroy Glover was really, really good. Haloti Ngata was really, really good. Tuck, I see you, Tuck. I don't know. That's tough. That's tough. For me, Abraham and Jared Allen, because they took over games. They and oh my God, Vince Wilfork. Oh my God. Yeah, those three were dominant. I mean, everybody. Again, you can't go wrong with anybody on this list. But if I'm looking at it, Abraham, Allen, and Vince Wilfork. Because I mean, for I want to say at least a period of 8 or 10 years, you took on the Patriots. You're facing Vince Wilfork, and you weren't going to run the ball. You were not gonna. You were not gonna run the ball. You just weren't. You better do some outside
Yep.
because you're not running it up the middle. Mr. Abraham, when it's third and whatever, and gotta have it. He was excellent with both the Jets and the Falcons. And Jared Allen was just dominant. He was just dominant, man. He's a pain in the rear. So those three for me. I'm sure you could. I mean, you could argue Leroy Glover. I'm not. You could, but as
Yeah.
far as who gets in, I don't even know. Like, because I don't know why Wilfork isn't already in. Number one, I don't know why he's
Yeah. I don't know why Abraham not in.
right. I don't know why Abraham isn't in, and I honestly don't know why Jared Allen isn't in because Jared was a monster. Like Jared was, you had the game plan for both those guys. So I don't know. Chris, what say you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like you can make a case for Haloti Nada. He was a difference maker wherever he went. Especially, everybody remembers his days with the Ravens. Oh boy, yeah, that's a crazy list. But honestly, man, Abraham, like again, he should have been in. Do I think he get in this year? It's not my choice. It's not my choice. So I think they're gonna skip over Abe again. Jared Allen possibly may get in. I'm looking at Jared Allen. I am Vince Wilfork as well. We're talking about guys in the next coming years. Wilfork, like Sonata. Ooh boy, shoot, Robert Mathis was good.
Man, I'm glad I don't do this for a living.
Yeah, man.
I would have
Yeah,
those nights.
Leroy Glover.
Yeah, I would have
Casey,
night.
Casey Hampton was underrated. Oh man, so yeah, but yeah, Jared Allen, Vince Wilfork, Haloti Nada. Said I still want John Abraham. Sitting in there as far as like the next coming years. Jared Allen may be the closest thing because he was a finalist last year. Um, if I had to go wild card, I'll say Vince Wilfork, just because again, like Terry was just saying, you were not running the ball at the middle of Vince was playing.
Absolutely not.
It's just like you wasn't doing nothing. What you got, Jordan?
I think a lot of these guys should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, John Abraham was elite for multiple teams. Everywhere he went, he had longevity and he was elite. Jared Allen, he's honestly my pick. He's probably going to get in this year. He was a finalist last year. He's the only finalist on this position, and there's no new guys coming in to this. So he's probably going to get in. I loved watching Jared Allen. My first fantasy league ever. Well, I had Jared Allen the year he won Defense Player of the Year, or when he led the league in sacks. He almost broke the sack record. That was I drafted him based off his Madden overall. I loved watching Jared Allen play. He was great everywhere he went. Leroy Glover, he had a good peak, not necessarily longevity. The complete opposite for Casey Hampton. Not really a great peak, but definitely a lot of longevity. This is one that I'm confused by, though. Why Robert Mathis isn't in, and Dwight Freeney is.
Yeah.
And it's weird because we were doing a vote. We're always adding people to the Gridiron Hall of Fame. It's not like we have a select month every year that's like, hey, we're going to induct this. We do have a yearly induction, which is a bigger induction, but right now we're doing votes, and we about a month, 2 months ago we did Robert Mathis, and people had the choice of saying yes for him to go in, no, that he shouldn't get in, or to table him for later, and we'll think about it at a later date. And I was shocked at how many people said table or no. He ended up getting tabled. We're going to debate about him later. But, I mean, the Pro Football Hall of Fame is thinking this. I mean, a lot of people are thinking this. I'm confused. Like, what happened that Robert Mathis isn't a Hall of Famer? He did have the suspension for roids or whatever. Honestly, it didn't do anything because he ended up still doing pretty good afterwards. He's, in my opinion, he was better than Dwight Freeney, and I think he was more dominant than Dwight Freeney. I think Dwight Freeney was more consistent, but Mathis, I think, was more dominant. And especially after Manning left, we were in the Luck era. That's when Mathis was still great. After Freeney left, he was still great. Chester McLaughlin, Haloti Ngata, one of the best. See, all right, it sucks because I think the mid to late 2000s to the early 2010s is arguably the worst era of defensive tackles ever. And I'm not saying these guys are bad. I'm just saying they were the best of their era. That's why they should get in. But comparing them to other guys of other eras, it's like, no. Haloti Ngata is one of the best of his era. Vince Wilfork's one of the best of his era. Kevin Williams is one of the best. Those three are the best three defensive tackles of the late 2010s, the late 2000s, early 2010s. Clyde Simmons is a great edge rusher, a great defensive lineman in general. Justin Tuck is also a really good one. I think out of all these guys, I think Jared Allen is probably the most likely to get in. The fact that Robert Mathis was not a finalist tells me all I need to know, that they do not care about him. So it sucks. If I was voting, I'd be the one to state my case for Robert Mathis.
Yeah, because you definitely can. Definitely make a case, man. We got linebackers next, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got linebackers. There's 20 guys. We got new Luke Kuechly's new, and Terrell Suggs is new. We got See, this is where it gets confusing with, like, you got edge rushers in both defensive linemen and linebackers, but that's another story. What do you guys think about this group? Who do you think possibly gets in?
Wow. That's tough, man. Because again, there are about 5 or 6 guys I see that should already be on there. Biscuit, Cornelius Bennett, Lance Briggs, Navarro Bowman, holy crap. Brooke, Romo, Takeo Spikes, James Harrison. James, I lift more weights than anybody in their late 30s. Like,
in his 40s now.
Yeah. Bro, let me tell you something. This is tough, man. I mean, I'm so glad I don't do this for a living, because really 3/4 of this list should be on there. But if you're putting me to a choice, and again, I can't pick any of these guys for mine because I've already used 4, but Navarro Bowman was dominant. Navarro Bowman was a part of a foursome, and he was just dominant. I mean, just dominant. You couldn't scheme for him.
You hated playing against him and Willis.
Right. James Harrison was dominant. Like, he was that man. And he scared the shit out of you. Even on TV, I'd be thinking, thank God I don't have to block him. I would not want to see him coming back oh my God. If I was a tailback, oh my God. Luke Kuechly, shit, man. Willie McGinnis, T Sizzle. Okay. This is tough, man. I mean, this is because I really, again, you could, like, there are probably 10 or 12 guys on this list I'd take right now, but I mean, probably Luke Kuechly, T Sizzle, and Navarro Bowman. Just because, of all, like, Navarro Bowman was one of the defensive linemen that you could rush 4 with him. and I forget who his teammates were, but that's what made them so good. They didn't have to blitz because literally they could get pressure with four. They definitely could get there. Luke Kuechly almost redefined the linebacker position, and T Sizzle, damn it, he was T Sizzle. Those are my three. Obviously, I can't pick one for mine because I only have one left, and I know who I'm going to pick. But yeah, if I had to pick who would probably go in, Navarro Bowman, Luke Kuechly, T Sizzle. Chris?
Mm, shoot, man. Man, to be honest, James Harrison should be in there, man. Man, like I said, a lot of these guys, you got Ken Norton Jr., I mean, Willie McGinnis, you can make an argument for. Man, James Ferrier, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Steelers, right? I
Yeah,
think he was.
man's on here. Yeah. Yep, Steelers, man. Teddy Bruschi, London Fletcher, the tackling machine. Mm, okay, look who gets in. To be honest with you, I think Suggs can get in. Actually, um, I could actually see that. But James Harrison, like you said, Luke Kuechly. To be realistic, one of those three. Finalists, I feel like can possibly be a finalist. Do any of them get in? Now that can be another story. Um, if it like I like Terrell Suggs, man. I think Suggs was really a dominant player. Even when Ray was gone, he still was, saying the heart and soul of the team. And it just, I'm gonna go with Suggs, man.
Luke Kuechly was he was the best. He was the best linebacker after Ray Lewis retired.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Willis retired shortly after. That's kind of why I'm like I loved watching Patrick Willis and Ray Lewis.
Right.
Watching Patrick Willis and Ray Lewis, it feels like watching highlights of Michael Jordan versus Kobe Bryant. Like in how similar they were to one another and how dominant they were after they left, I felt like there was a big hole at the linebacker. I think there's a big hole at the linebacker position. I'm so glad Bobby Wagner's still playing. Because Bobby Wagner's going to go into the Hall of Fame someday. I think Luke Kuechly's going to go into the Hall of Fame someday. And I think Luke was the last sideline to sideline linebacker. We don't see them anymore. We just straight up don't. You have to stick to your zone. You're not going to go play. You're not going to go over from the one sideline to the other in the middle of a play. You're not going to do that. Bobby used to, not anymore. But Luke was just, he was so good. When he got his concussion, that is one of the scariest concussions. Just his emotions on his face. It was so scary. I think that was the scariest moment outside of the DeMar Hamlin situation. That was one of the scariest moments I've seen of a player. I think Luke should be in. I don't think he's going to get in first ballot. T Sizzle, he's got the resume to walk in their first ballot. If there's any guy, even over Eli Manning, I think T Sizzle's resume is better than any other first ballot guy this year. He's got the awards. He's got the ring. He's got the accolades. He's got the stats. He's got everything you want. The only thing you got to think of is, okay, when should we put him in the Hall of Fame? Not if we should. It's when we should.
Right.
Out of everybody on this list, I mean, guys like Teddy Bruschi, they got solid numbers and they got the postseason success, but not awards and stuff. Then you got consistent guys like James Ferrier, London Fletcher, especially. I think London should have been in a while ago. London Fletcher, I put in the category of one guy who's not even on either of these lists, Jesse Tuggle. I put him in that convo. I put him in that convo of like their stats should have them as one of the first year's eligibility.
It's a crime.
But yeah, T Sizzle has everything you need. Everything. James Harrison, I think, should get in. I think his only issue was longevity. But yeah, out of all these guys, I think a lot of these guys should be in. Navarro Bowman, it's the longevity for him that's going to be the issue, and also how good he was after Willis left. I personally believe a lot of Bowman's success came from the fact that Patrick Willis was there, and the fact that is one of the greatest 3-4 linebacking cores of all time. That is up there with the Dome Patrol.
Amen.
I mean, you got Ahmad Brooks. Alden Smith was no joke. Alden Smith could have been one of the greatest edge rushers in league history. And to this day, if I'm playing Madden, I'll pick up his 35-year-old self. I don't know how old he is. I'll pick him up just because he was that good. I don't think people realize how good he was.
He was dominant.
And then you just throw in arguably the greatest inside linebacking duo in NFL history. You know what? I will say that they are the greatest inside linebacking duo in NFL history, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah, I would.
But what Bowman did outside of Willis is my only question mark. So yeah, I don't think he gets. I don't know if he gets in at all. But yeah, a lot of consistent guys. London Fletcher is the headache for me because he should flat out been in a while ago, and I don't know why. It's same thing with Jesse Tuggle. I don't know why.
That's hands down should be in the Hall of Fame, man. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, you got what's my man you know who I'm talking about from the Dolphins, Hall of Famer.
Zach Thomas,
yeah.
He waited for a while too. He was in that convo with Tuggle. I put him in that same convo, but he finally got his flowers.
But that's why I'm saying, man, Tuggle need his, man.
Mm-hmm.
Why you can still smell them.
All right, let's get into defensive backs. We got 18 guys, cornerbacks, safeties, guys who played both. We got new guys, Antoine Bethea, and Aqib Talib, and Earl Thomas III. We got two members of the Legion of Boom in this. Who do you think gets in?
All right, so this one, and again, this is tough. Eric Allen, great corner. Eric Berry, great corner. I think he impacted a game where the Falcons lost. I think that might have been the 2016 season where he got an interception and took it back. It may have been an extra
point. 2-point conversion return. Yeah, that was crazy. I think about that every once in a while.
That was crazy. And Antoine Bethea, Dre Bly. For me, my final choice is probably you guys are gonna be like, what the heck are you thinking? Oh my goodness.
Damari Rolle.
No, for me, Cam Chancellor. And I say this because had Cam not gotten hurt, Cam was dominant. I mean, Cam was dominant. Cam was you know what I mean? And I know Earl Thomas would get some interceptions. So for me, the guys that would probably get in, Cam should be in, but I would say Cam, Aqib Talib, because he was a freaking pest, and Earl Thomas. But for me, my last guy, I'm going to spin on Cam Chancellor. There's a play. I forget who they're playing. And Cam was the first guy I'd ever seen do this. But Cam literally jumps over. I think they're kicking a field, whatever. Yeah. Jumps over the lineman. Mm-hmm. Not only blocks the ball, I think he caught it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he caught it. And I don't know if he scored, but I had never seen anybody do that. I'd never seen, it was the wildest thing in the world to me. I look, had we not moved, I'd still have it on my DVR because we switched companies. But I will never forget that play. Like it was a religious experience. Cam literally jumped over the guy, and it was legal.
Yeah.
Jumped over the guy, runs right at the kicker, grabs the ball, doesn't block it, grabs it. Okay. Um, physically gifted. Let me tell you something. Cam would lay the boom. Okay.
Yep.
You
Would.
going across that middle, you better know where Cam. Mama, there go that man again. You better know where Cam is. You better know. Okay. And it's a crime that he's not in the Hall of Fame. He might not, again, his career may have ended too soon.
Right.
But for me, just Hall of Fame is also about the impact. It's not just numbers, it's about the impact that a player has. And when Cam left, they were never the same. They were never the same. So for me, I'm gonna use my last spot on Cam. Cam is that dude. I respect it. Obviously, D'Angelo Hall was a Falcon. Love him. Rodney Harrison, great, 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 great safety. Not good, great safety. The pastor, Eugene Robinson, decent. Smyro, again, another good one. Bob Sanders is not talked about, but had he not been injured, I think he's one of the three best or four best safeties of all time. Like between him,
You want to
uh,
talk about later boom? And
yeah,
Bob used to do it too.
Bob, and but not only that, Bob could go get it, right? So
Yeah.
there was what's his name with the hair? What Troy, what's Troy's last name?
Palomalo.
Troy Polamalu, Bob Sanders, and one other guy I can't think of, but in the 90s, like or late 90s, early 2000s, they would go and get what's his name? The ball hawking Ed Reed. But at at their A day, it was Troy, Ed, and Bob Sanders. And I think Bob played for the Colts. Bob could go get it. Bob would lay the wood. Bob just couldn't stay healthy because
Yeah.
he was short and stat and he would hurt himself. But let me tell you something. Bob was again, you know what? I'm gonna say who should be in, like in my humble opinion, Cam, Bob, Akeem, and Earl Thomas. Akeem Talib was I hated when the Falcons played. I hated it. God, because he would always just talk shit. He is like if there was a shit talking Hall of Fame, Akeem Talib is number one. You if he was not on your team, you hated him. Didn't he snatch somebody's chain? Whose chain did he snatch?
Michael
Michael
Crabtree.
Crab.
That Michael Crab. Oh my God. And then Earl Thomas, again, probably one of the best to do it. I'm partial to defensive backs, but yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Cam should be in, Bob Sanders should be in, and no disrespect to anybody. And Darren Woodson. I can't believe Darren Woodson's not already in there. It's crazy.
Man,
That's stupid. Um, I just realized why the hell is Darren Woodson not anyway?
Mhm.
That's just bullshit. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm getting my Jordan on now because I'm partial to defensive back, and that is bullshit that Darren Woodson isn't on there. And you know what? To the NFL, you get the finger for that. Like that's BS. Anyway, I'm spending way too much time. All right, Cam's my guy. He's my fifth pick. Love me some Cam Chancellor again. I believe the Hall of Fame is also about impact, and that Legion of Boom took them to 2 Super Bowls. But Cam was that. Cam was the man. I know Richard would go and get the interceptions. Earl Thomas would too. But you ask anybody going across the middle during that time who they looking for, it's gonna be Mr. Cam Chancellor, Akeem Talib, and Earl Thomas. That's what I have to say about it. My five is complete. Chris, what say you, sir?
Shoot, man. Honestly, since Cam was definitely a player I was looking at, you already
Wait,
really made the case for
Chris,
him.
hang on one sec. Hang on one sec.
What's that?
Was Darren Woodson the guy that was involved in the? I just thought about it. Was he involved with the sex
Stuff
thing?
in Vegas. No, that was Darren Sharper.
That
Yeah,
was it.
sharp.
Okay, yes, Darren Woodson should be in there. Okay,
Which I know he's. I just noticed. So all right, there was the issue ever when he got put into the nominees. I think it was last year or the year before. Because he ended up going like all the way to being a finalist, and this was during that whole situation. And there was this everybody was like crying and being like, why is he even a finalist? And all right, I get exactly why the Pro Football Hall of Fame is going this far, because they're only looking at their Hall of Fame career. That's exactly what we do at Old Legacy with the Gridiron Hall of Fame and all our Hall of Fames. We don't look at, like, that's why someone like O.J. Simpson is in our Hall of Fame. We're not looking at what they did outside of football, only their football career.
Right.
So I get what they're saying, but the Pro Football Hall of Fame is also like a public, like everybody is going to know it. If Darren Sharper were to hypothetically be inducted, you know that he's probably not going to show up at his induction ceremony. So that's more than likely why he's not even a nominee now.
No, I get it, and I don't think he should be. You know what I mean? I mean, again, the egregiousness of what Darren did, that's disgusting. You know what I mean? But you could whatever. I'm not even gonna make that argument. That's disgusting. I'm gonna leave it right there. Go ahead, dude. That's disgusting. I'm sorry, Chris. You were talking. I didn't interrupt you. I just had a thought. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry about that.
It's all good, man. Again, like I said, Cam was a player I definitely was looking at. You can definitely make an argument for him because, again, he was dominant. And you can arguably say the Legion of Boom really isn't fully the Legion of Boom without Cam. Like, seriously, you think about Browner, you think about Sherman, and you think about Thomas. Cam made all their jobs easier.
Yeah, because Cam would lay the wood, man.
Yeah, he really, yeah, man. So he made everybody's job easier, seriously. Because even if you made a mistake, he was gonna make them pay, and show you how it's done. So it's just like it's hard not to choose Cam. Eric Allen, glad that he was a finalist. Same thing. Ward Woodson. And you got Rodney Harrison, man. That's tough. It's definitely tough. I think honestly, all those names like probably get in the next few years. Maybe it'll take a little longer for some. Charles Tillman is also an underrated name in there. Troy Vincent. Shoot, man, because Troy Vincent, man, he can. Yeah, that was a football player. You can't even just put a really a classification on him, man. Oh, yeah, Cam, Eric Allen, Rodney Harrison, I think Earl Thomas and Darren Woodson. I think before 2030, I think all those guys possibly may slide in. Seriously. But this year, you honestly probably either Darren Woodson or Rodney Harrison for this year.
Yeah.
I think we're about to get backed up on defensive backs. Because my thought process since Palomalu, Ed Reed, Brian Dawkins, since all of them left, is that we are right now in the worst era of safeties in NFL history. I mean, out of the last decades, so since 2014, so that means you're taking away a couple good years from Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. Is Harrison Smith really the best safety? Like, I mean, who really has an argument against him? He's got everything. I mean, he's got some postseason success. He's got his stats. He's one interception away from Pat Pete for the most of active players. He's got the accolades too. It sucks. Harrison Smith is a great safety. He's gonna probably be in the Hall of Fame one day. But really? So, all right, that's my thought process going into this. So that means here's a couple guys who are on the 2010s All-Decade team. Eric Berry's on it. Earl Thomas is on it. I don't think Eric Berry should have been on the 2010s All-Decade team. That was my own opinion when that first came out. I don't think he should have been on it. Earl Thomas was one of the best free safeties of the 2010s. I mean, you could have the argument that he is the best free safety of. I have focus on free safety because there is a lot of good strong safeties, especially with the style of strong safeties being used lately. And I think out of every single player on here, Aqib Talib probably has the greatest resume. He is. I'm pretty sure he's the most pick sixes in NFL history, or he had some sort of record when he was at Denver, but I'm pretty sure he's up there in terms of pick sixes. He was very good with the Bucks. I wouldn't say he was great with the Bucks. He was very good with the Bucks. He showed enough promise that he went to New England was great, and then he went to Denver, also was great. I think Aqib Talib was one of the best cornerbacks. I don't think he was a shutdown corner. I think he was sort of he was sort of like the top corners in the 90s. Like he wasn't like Revis was, where you'd go to his man and shut him down. Aqib kind of fit in a system to where every system he went in, he just found success. He was able to adapt very well. So I think out of everyone on here, Aqib Talib is probably the most likely next guy in. Out of the finalists from last year, I think Eric Allen has a great resume to get in. Same thing with Darren Woodson. Rodney Harrison is finally getting some love. I'm so glad for Rodney Harrison because he was one of the hardest hitting safeties of the 90s, 2000s. I don't think he should get in though. I mean, all right, if it were my opinion and I could induct anyone, yeah, most of these guys are getting in.
Right.
But that's probably it. Bob Sanders and Antoine Bethea. We got multiple safety duos. We got Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. We got Bob Sanders and Bethea. I mean, we got a lot of great guys. And the one guy that is so interesting that I think his impact on football is a lot greater than his career, and that's Charles Tillman, the peanut punch.
Peanut Tillman, yeah. You know what?
I mean,
forgot about that. You are right.
His impact.
About
that's all we talk about. And every time someone punches a ball out, is Charles Tillman. He has the most forced fumbles in NFL history from a defensive back. I mean, he's not going to get in, but he really should because of his impact to the whole football as a whole.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Cam. Like how I feel about Cam, because there were a lot of guys that were drafted in Cam's image. You know, now they weren't Cam, but you know, his impact to the game. You know, so I would agree. I'm sorry, Jordan. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's good. Alan Rossum's really on here more for his return abilities. I noticed that there's a lot of special teamers in a couple of these, like Brendan Anya Badeo, who's in the linebackers, great special teamer. In terms of, there's a few special teamers that are just in positions because they didn't put them in the special teams category, and Alan Rossum is one of them. Nick Collins, underrated part of that Packers defensive back group. Antonio Cromartie had one of the greatest seasons by a cornerback ever, to the point that he does have quite a few votes when we went back and voted for the 2007 the Gridiron Player of the Year. And Cromartie had a lot of longevity too. I think what hurt him was injuries, really. Yeah, a lot of great guys on here, but I think Aqib Talib has the best chance out of guys who I think are going to get in. I think Eric Allen eventually will. Eric Berry might get in. I don't think Cam's going to get in just because of longevity. That's really it. And I think he might get in as a senior nominee, like maybe 50 years from now.
Yeah.
And then I think Bob Sanders, I think injuries hurt his career. Aqib Talib's going to get in probably earlier than any of these guys. Earl Thomas is going to – I don't know how the league feels about Earl Thomas since how his career ended.
Right.
So I don't know if they're going to treat him – I don't know if we're just going to forget about everything that happened and honor him, or are we going to remember it? So I don't know. I feel like he's so forgotten just how great he was. I mean, and a lot of people talk about Cam, because of how hard he was hitting. He's very popular in Madden, but Earl Thomas isn't very widely regarded in terms of that whole secondary. But I do think
he was great.
He was important. I mean, when they had like a triangle defense where you'd have Cam come down, and you'd have Richard Sherman, and then either Brandon Brown or Byron Maxwell out wide, and then that center fielder was Earl Thomas.
Yeah.
And he was so important to. I think I do agree with you. They are not called the Legion of Boom without Cam Chancellor.
Right.
And I think, but I also think Earl Thomas was the most important piece to making sure that they were a great secondary.
Yeah, because he was the captain.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
That group, right? Yeah. So he kept
Yes.
everybody positioned. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm glad we agree. Richard Sherman is overrated.
I don't feel like Sherman and Browner were like the major factors. I mean, I feel like honestly those two guys in the back, those two safeties, you had the brain and the brawn. Honestly,
Yeah. I think Richard played well in that system. Now let me tell you something. At the height of he was pretty good. I mean, he was pretty good, but he did benefit from the system. He did benefit from it. So I would agree. He will never be Revis Island. But I mean, he had his moments. He did. I'm not gonna take anything away from that Legion of Boom for like a 3-4 year period. They were the best defense in the league, and it wasn't even close.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I think, and I'll touch on this real quick, and then we'll go to kickers, punters, special teams. Every time I look at a defense, like the best defense in the league, I often compare them to two specific defenses that they used to go cover zero because their front seven was so good and their secondary was so good that they just didn't care. The Legion of Boom defense was one of them, and the 2015 Carolina Panthers. I remember watching Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly what was his name? Greg Hardy. I remember they would just line guys up. Both defenses operated so similar, and those are the most ferocious defenses of the new era of defenses that I've seen. And like every year I'm thinking, all right, when am I going to see that again? Because I really have not seen that again. Every time I watch a Super Bowl champion, I have not seen a defense. And people want to talk about how great the no-fly zone defense was with Aqib Talib, Chris Harris Jr. They had a great defense, but I don't look at that defense the same way I look at the Legion of Boom or that Carolina Panthers defense. I do think if that Panthers offense is better, has some weapons to give Cam Newton outside of Greg Olsen, that they could have won that Super Bowl, especially with how low scoring of a game that was. Those two defenses are so ferocious. They were two of the best that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right, let's combine the two since we only got two guys in the special teams. Here are all the kickers and punters. Which how many punters are there? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of the 15 are punters. So almost half of them are punters. And then we got two return specialists. Get some love. Do we think any of these guys eventually get in?
I think Adam Vinatieri gets in. I think David Akers will get in, and I think Jason Elam will get it. I think Jason was like one of the first guys to routinely kick 50 plus. If my memory serves me correctly, Elam would get after it. I think he was one of the first to do 50 plus, close to 60. The punter, I'd say maybe Sean Landetta was a good one.
Yeah, very good.
Matt Stover was a decent kicker. Vinatieri is the class of of the kickers, in my humble opinion. David Akers pretty good. Gary Anderson was pretty good. The only thing about him is he missed that one in Minnesota, and I think that's going to follow him. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair because he was a great kicker, but I think that was one of those moments that it's kind of like what's that guy with the Red Sox that missed the ground ball and the Mets, like Bill,
Yeah.
whatever his name is. I think Gary Anderson is looked at the same. If he makes that kick, obviously the Falcons don't make it to the Super Bowl, but it was such a public failure moment. Like he just and I don't think he ever washed the stink of that off. So I'm gonna go Akers, Vinatieri.
And
Go ahead.
who was the kicker on the other side of that for your team?
That was Morton Anderson. Also,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
And he's in.
yeah, he's already in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna go Akers, Vinatieri, Landetta, and Elam, and then now is Josh Cribbs the one with all the drug issues? Is that him?
I'm not
Nah,
sure.
no,
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
think. You
What
talking about?
He
I
just
don't
can't.
think so. No, I
Oh,
don't think so.
all right. So then I would go Josh Cribbs, and that would be it. As you know, my list is full, but yeah, I'd go Akers, Landetta, Elam, Vinatieri, and Josh Cribbs. Chris, what say you?
I mean, Vinatieri is the cream of the crop, man.
Yeah.
You has legendary moments with two different franchises, So it's just longevity. I mean, of course, he's a kicker, but still, longevity won so much. The guy just won wherever he went, man. So yeah, if it's honestly, man, Vinatieri, I think he's going to get in the next couple of years. Honestly, he's probably going to get in over a lot of these guys first. Um, Vanderjack, man, Vanderjack was cool, but he was uh, he was a loose cannon. That's another one that you can just look at. What about the end of his
He
career?
sure was. Didn't he get in trouble for some comments or something he did?
Yeah,
Man,
Peyton Manning hated it. Peyton Manning
yeah,
hates him.
yeah, he does. Yeah, Vanderjack. Yeah, that's that guy. Oh man.
Forgot about that. You're right. Yeah, Peyton.
Yeah.
What did he do? Anybody?
So,
What did he
I
do?
know he missed the field goal. I think it was against the Patriots that would have sent them to the Super Bowl. Um, he missed a kick that would have sent them to the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure. And he hadn't missed all year up until that point.
Mm.
But then something else happened after the Pro Bowl. And I think Peyton Manning said something like, because that was when the Pro Bowl was after the Super Bowl. And I think Peyton Manning just flat out called him out.
Yeah.
yeah, man. I thought he had something going on with something about some drinking or something like that too,
Something
maybe.
like that. Yeah, something public came out about him. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, something like that. It was yeah. But Jason Hanson, that's another underrated guy. Fiegels was cool. Lindetta, man, Shane, man, corner kick Shane, man. Let me see. Yeah, Elam was good too, man. But if I just had to pick one out of this group, it's gonna be Vinatieri, man. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, a lot of great names here, a lot of great names that should still get in. But yeah, Vinatieri, Akers, Elam, uh, Shane Lackler. Yeah, those are guys who I think is going to end up getting in there. Seriously. Yeah, Cribs is cool too. I mean, Brian Mitchell is underrated.
Mhm.
I think Brian Mitchell is very underrated as a special teamer. Um, if they want to put him in just for that, I wouldn't be mad. But yeah, that's pretty much that's what's going to end the list for me.
I think every single one of these players, except for Pat McAfee, deserves to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame when we're talking about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. and
Mm-hmm.
kickers and punters are positions, people.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the cream of the crop when it comes to kickers and punters. Every single one of these guys. I personally believe Pat McAfee is overrated. I think his post retirement success, him retiring at his peak, which I'm gonna be honest, compared to other players, I don't think it was that big of a peak. Compared to like his post retirement shenanigans, we'll say, have really elevated the media's popularity with him. Um, and I mean, look, if you want to go get a time machine, travel back to me watching him get onside kicks on him by himself, like, yeah, those are great moments, and we remember those. But like when it comes to his actual success and his career, he's in a completely like the everybody else is in a completely better territory than he is. Um, but when it comes down to who the Hall of Fame's probably going to get in, I do think Shane Leckler is the one punter of this group. Shane Leckler has he's up there with Ray Guy. I think he's the second greatest punter. I think the gap between Ray Guy and him is shorter than the gap between Leckler and whoever's third.
Mm-hmm.
And then if Vinatieri can't get in first ballot, no kicker can. So and that
Yeah.
includes Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
I think if Vinatieri can't get in first ballot, neither can Justin Tucker. And Devin Hester already proved that you can be the greatest return specialist of all time, and that you won't get in first ballot. So yeah, I think Vinatieri will get in. I don't. It's just a matter of when, really. I mean, Morton Anderson, it took so long, and I think Gary Anderson really should be in. I think if roles are reversed and Morton Anderson misses a kick and Gary Anderson makes the kick and sends the Vikings to the Super Bowl, that Gary Anderson's in the Hall of Fame and not Morton Anderson.
Agreed.
And
Yeah.
and that's not that's not saying either one is better than the other. That's those are when if you take Vinatieri out of the discussion, or like pre-Vinatieri, who are the two best kickers of all time? Morton Anderson and Gary Anderson. So yeah, I think Gary Anderson should be in. And then when it comes to special teams, I think there's a list of return specialists and just special teamers in general that should be in. I feel the same way. I think these are two of the best return specialists of all time. Dante Hall is not a nominee.
Yeah, that's strange.
So Brian Mitchell, out of everybody, Brian Mitchell should be in because he's got the return yardage record.
Right.
So he should be in. After that, we'll consider your Josh Cribbs, your Dante Halls. So yeah, Brian Mitchell should be in, but because Brian Mitchell hasn't been a finalist, has he ever been a finalist? I don't know. So if he's just not going to be I'm curious to see how the Pro Football Hall of Fame approaches it now, since Devin Hester has been speaking more about other returners.
Yeah.
So, I mean, after Ray Guy got inducted, we still haven't really seen a punter get any sort of love, even Shane Leckler. After Morton Anderson, we really haven't gotten a kicker that's gotten any love. So I think they don't like special teamers. But yeah, that's all our modern era players.
Right.
My five that I think are going to get in are Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Antonio Gates, Willie Anderson, and Jared Allen. What was your guys' five again?
I know I went like Fred Taylor. I went Reggie Wayne, and like I was with the Torrey Holt as well. Antonio, was Antonio Gates? Yeah, Antonio Gates, and oh no, I remember I said I don't think the offensive lineman. Defensive lineman. Terrell Suggs. Yeah, Terrell Suggs.
Yeah, I
T. Will,
think
how about you?
mine were as Dion would say, I believe in Eli. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Oh gosh, he did used to say that.
gonna go Eli Manning, Marshawn Lynch, Darren Sproles, Steve Smith, and that mama. There goes that man again, Mr. Cam Chancellor. Those were my 5 picks. So there you
All
go.
right. So we're not gonna go over like we did. We're not gonna go over the senior nominees the same
Just
way we
like that.
did the modern era, because otherwise we'd be here until like 10 o'clock at night. Um, can you see the senior player nominees?
Yes.
Okay.
Big and
All
bold.
right. So, all right, this list is bigger um, than the modern era. Obviously, it's 183 players. I do love that this year they're kind of telling us how they're breaking it down. Um, Now, this is anyone who is, they had to have last played 25 years. 1999 was the last time that they had to have played. That's so if you retired in 2000, you're still a modern era nominee for now.
Yeah.
But until 2026. Um, so here we'll go over offense and defense. So they kind of they don't separate wide receivers and tight ends,
Right.
which I understand why. When you're looking at players from like the 30s, 40s, tight end position really didn't exist. There was a split end, but that's also what wide receivers were. So when you're talking about ends, that can get confusing. So I understand why they kind of mix the two. Um, so we'll just go through offense. You see all the list of guys here. Who do you think gets in? Now remember, maximum of 3 guys get in. So we're minimum of 1, but we're gonna say hypothetically all 3 guys get in.
Damn. Um,
There's a lot of great players on this list too.
Man.
shoot, man.
Mm-mm-mm.
How is Doug Williams not in? I don't. I
Mm.
know. I know Jeff Hostetler won a Super Bowl. I know Phil Simms did. I think Jim Plunkett did. I know Doug Williams did. I don't know that Boomer ever won it, but he was great. I'm not gonna take anything.
Boomer was great, but I never quite.
I think Jaws or Juan Jaworski. I think he took the Eagles to a Super Bowl. I think they lost to
He did. Yeah.
lost to the Raiders. For me, I mean, for me, it's Doug Williams. I know he wasn't great in Tampa Bay, but he was fun. I tell you what, man, that man had an arm. Doug Williams, is the first guy that I've ever seen throw a 20-yard pass and knock somebody down. Physically, the force and velocity behind that ball. It wasn't he didn't get tackled. He got knocked down by the pass. So quite an arm. I know he and Elway used to break thumbs on the regular.
How do you feel about Lamar Jackson saying that Doug Williams is one of the best mobile quarterbacks of all time? He actually said this, by the
I
way.
Well, I don't remember Doug being mobile because
He
Doug
was
had
Yeah, I was about to say.
because he wasn't.
I don't remember Doug being mobile. Hey man, I see what you were trying
I
to do.
didn't see any highlights. I didn't.
Well, no, so I was a kid. I was a young kid when Doug.
Mhm.
I remember they were in the creamsicle uniforms, and but Doug could sling that thing, man. Doug had it. I mean, Doug had an arm. Doug, I think, other than John Elway, who maybe you could argue him, Brett Favre, but those are two of the strongest arms that could make any throw. But Doug Williams is right there. I mean, I've seen at least on 2 occasions Doug throw a pass and it knocked that. And I'm not talking about at 5 yards. I'm talking about literally the velocity of that pass hit this man in the chest and knocked him down. You know what I mean? And then the 82 was it 82 87. whenever
87. Yeah.
when he leads the Redskins to the Super Bowl, obviously, first African American man to do that. All the bias and stuff that he faced. I gotta go Doug Williams for me. And again, you could argue 4 or 5. Don Meredith. You could argue 4 or 5 people on this list, but for me, the one that sticks out quarterback is Doug Williams. Since we're only gonna pick 3, I'm gonna go ahead and do them all in the interest of time. Otis Anderson was quite a running back. Ernest Biner, Roger Craig. Oh my God, those San Francisco teams. Wow. We're gonna get 3, huh? Damn.
Only 3.
Wow.
A lot of great players.
Wow, man. Gosh.
Mike Keene should already be in the Hall of Fame. But whatever.
Man, I honestly, damn, Billy White Shoes Johnson. See, I feel like Billy should be on there, but I can't pick him over Roger freaking Craig, man. Okay, so Roger Craig should definitely be on there. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say my second one is Roger Craig, and now I've got a him and Haw over this third damn pick that Jordan is making me pick. Whatever.
We still got defense to do and special teams.
I'm not gonna make it the defense. I can tell you that. I'm gonna be honest, because Billy White Shoes. No disrespect, man. I hate to leave you off. I gotta leave you off, homie. Damn. I gotta leave him off. Shit. This Randy Cross. Love me some Randy Cross. Bill Fralick.
Chris Hinton.
Yeah, Chris
Bird. Damn, man. Sorry, guys. Can't do it. Lyle Alzado. Al Bubba Baker, Ray Childress, Ben Davidson, Mark Gastineau. Man, Mark Gastineau from the Jets. I remember him. Those famous Jets of the 80s that sacked more people than jeez.
You're getting too far ahead. We're only on offense. That was a sneak peek.
I'm just gonna give you my 3 because Ed Too Tall Jones. Damn, Ed, rest in peace, Ed. Damn. Only 3, man. That's it. Carl Banks, Mike Curtis, Tom Jackson, Vaughn Johnson, Wilbur Marshall, Clay Matthews Jr., Carl Mecklenburg, Tommy Nobis for the
I'm telling you, there's a lot of good options.
Damn, Jack Tatum? Are you
come on, man.
Clay Matthews Jr.?
I'm not going Jack Tatum.
Are you telling me Jack Tatum is not in the Hall of Fame?
Lester Hayes.
Stick him.
Yeah,
Stick him, Hayes. Stick him. Yeah. Stick him.
Steve Tasker.
Damn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great names.
You just wanted to get me indigestion, man. That's what you wanted to do. Oh shit, man. You know what? Falcons guy at heart. I gotta go Tommy Nobis. I gotta right or wrong. I gotta go. Yeah. So my 3 guys: Tommy Nobis, Roger Craig, and Doug Williams. Those are my 3. Because I first of all, this is very hurtful for you to do, Jordan. Shame on you. You got to make.
This is the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
You know what? Shame on them. Somebody should write.
Shame on them.
I'm writing my congressman. This is bullshit. Half these guys should be on here, and that's just wrong. And I didn't even get to the kickers. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that's my 3. Chris, go ahead, brother.
Well, Jack Tatum is one of mine, just because that's just one of mine.
He's on there, right? I can't believe he's not on there.
Yeah, I'm going Tatum. I know. I mean, he'll take your head off. Okay. I'm gonna go. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go Doug Williams as well. then again, now I gotta go Roger Craig. If I'm gonna go with offense with anybody, I'm gonna go Roger Craig. Yikes. And I would like
Sterling
to bar.
Sharp.
Yeah, no, Sterling
I,
was
I,
good in
yeah,
short career, but he definitely good.
that injury.
Yeah. Man. Okay. Just one more, huh? I would like to steal one of Jordan's, and so I can pick four. And
You can't do that, my friend. No, no,
uh,
no. You
that's
can't
crazy.
do it.
Yeah, Carl Banks.
Tough, isn't it?
There's
I
so
know.
many good ones.
It's
And
tough.
I follow a lot of I follow a lot of these older players, and
Okay.
like, all right, it's either these older players' as social medias or it's their loved ones carrying it on, trying to get them into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
There
Mm,
are so many of these guys that deserve to be in. Some that have passed away, sadly,
right.
and yeah, it sucks. I do think a lot of these guys need to be in.
Jack Tatum should be on. Like that.
Man,
That's a
I wanna throw Tommy Novus in there, man. It's just, but you also got like Paul Jones, so
yeah.
it just um shit. Jim Marshall. Wow, freaking Jim Marshall. Okay. Oh man,
It's
yeah,
amazing the guys that aren't on that. Like I would never have thought that Jack Tatum. I mean, the Steelers.
yeah.
Come
No,
on, bro. I'd like that, bro. Somebody, somebody. I'm just saying that's wrong. That is.
yeah. Yeah. I'm going Roger Craig, Jack Tatum, and man, I'm gonna go Tommy Novus. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't be mad if it was Too Tall Jones or any of these players, honestly. Because good gracious, some of
Right.
these players, most of these players, I wasn't even thought of like seriously when they were even doing their thing. So it's just like,
I'm sure your grandparents weren't even thought of when some of these guys were playing.
man,
And
this is crazy.
Roger Craig revolutionized the running back position. Like he was, and you know what? I'm gonna say an honorary mention to a guy that probably blocked for him, and that was a fullback in San Francisco named Bill Ring. Bill Ring was that dude, man. He was because he could catch. He was one of the first fullbacks that I remember that could catch a ball out of the backfield and go. He was a hell of a five blocker. He could run the ball. He could do it all. So I got shout out. I mean, I know he's here, but I just always felt like he was on those. The 49ers don't win Super Bowls without Bill Ring. Just phenomenal. Um, a lot of guys, in his image playing. Well, not a lot because fullback position is going away. But honorary mention to him. But Roger Craig was just so dominant. He could run it. He could block. Just a freaking West Coast hero, man. I can't believe he's not in the Hall of Fame. Like, who do I need to call, Jordan? Whose ass needs to be whooped? Okay, this is bullshit.
A lot of them.
This is bullshit. Like, no Jack Tatum. Jack, don't come across the middle, or you will get clothesline Tatum. Do you know how many 70s Saturdays I watched the Steelers and Jack Tatum murder somebody? How's he not in the Hall of Fame? This is injustice. We should be up in arms. Attica, Attica, free Jack Tatum. This is bullshit, man. This is bullshit. No, I'm saying, bro, look, I don't know if I know Jordan didn't come up in the 70s. Chris, I don't think you did. Jack Tatum,
Nah,
personal hero of mine, okay? Jack Tatum, Mel Blunt, Mean Joe
yeah,
Green. That Steelers.
Jack Tatum was on the Raiders.
yeah. Night Train Lane.
Wait,
Are
Tatum
you
was
thinking Jack Lambert or Jack Ham?
right.
Or were you
You're
thinking?
right. You're right. You're right. But Tatum was still good, man. Tatum was a Raider, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, give him hell, Raiders. I mean, hey, just win, baby. Just win. I mean, still, Raiders, another great team of the 70s, and Jack Tatum would. I just remember Jack Tatum would clothesline the shit out of people, and I was here for it, man. It was legal. You
He
did
had that.
not come
He had
across
that forearm.
that. Let
He
me
hit
tell
you
you
with that
something. That
forearm.
forearm was deadly. That elbow was coined the elbow of death. Like it was just. I mean, it changed my life, bro, personally, because I would go out and play football, and I'd love to do that to people. I was a little mean as a kid. Not a lot. Like I wasn't like malicious, but I did like to clothesline people, and not. I gotta thank Jack. Like, how the fuck is he not on that list? And excuse my language, but that's wrong. We need to rewrite this injustice. Who do we need to write? We need to write our congressman, Jordan.
There's a lot of writers, like of the Associated Press, NFL Network, ESPN. There's historians that are a part of this. There's former players. I know Art Monk, I believe, is one of the players. There's only a handful of players that are on the committee. I think Art Monk is one of them, and I believe Dan Fouts, which in my opinion, I think only the Pro Football Hall of Famers should be voting people in.
Agreed.
I think we've gotten to the point that there's a lot of Pro Football Hall of Famers, and they know these players. They know players they grew up watching. They know players that are currently playing. They know how the game has changed, and you'll see players who were better behind the scenes that maybe these writers and you and I don't know about. I mean, if you look at someone like Sean Taylor, for example, Sean Taylor's prime is not ever going to be eligible. If you throw out eligibility and you had all these players voting, I'm sure Sean Taylor is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
100%.
Especially he's been in Brian Dawkins' Hall of Fame speech, Troy Polamalu's Hall of Fame speech, and Ed Reed's Hall of Fame speech. Are you joking? He's been to all three of them. I'm sure he'll be in other ones too. Guys like Derwin James, who were huge fans of his. Derwin James, if he continues his current pace, his likely trajectory is a Hall of Famer. But if he were to hypothetically have a speech, he'd be talking about him. Landon Collins has always talked about Sean Taylor. So, yeah. All right, it's my turn.
Your turn.
Okay. All right, let's just go with quarterbacks real quickly. I think this is probably one of the worst positions that are listed. I think Ken Anderson should be in, Charlie Connerly should be in, Boomer Esiason should be in, Roman Gabriel should be in. James Harris definitely does not need to be in. Bobby Hibbert doesn't need to be in. Jeff Hostetler doesn't need to be in. Ron Jaworski, I don't think so. Jack Kemp, he's got an argument for his days in the AFL. Dave Craig, no. Daryl LaMonica, I think, is the surefire best quarterback on this list. I think he should have been in years ago. We're going back, and I said this before, we're going back as Old Legacy. We're going back and looking and voting for our players of the year. So the Gridiron Player of the Year, we have a whole list we have everything from 1970 to now. When I first started this, I didn't want to have a most valuable player because I feel like that's the wrong wording. I wanted to determine who was the best player of the year. And so we vote on it. And I'm preparing for when we do we've gotten 1970 to now. So I'm preparing for when we get into the 60s, because we're going to have a separate AFL and NFL players of the year. And I've looked at LaMonica, and he's in like he's like my pick for like 5 years. He's no doubt in my mind he's probably the greatest Raiders quarterback ever. And that's saying a lot considering they have Ken Stabler. Rich Gannon played well for a very short period of time. Jim Plunkett was there, who's also on this list. But I think LaMonica was just on another level. Don Meredith, solid career. I don't think he's going to get in. Jim Plunkett, I think the rings really carry him. But I don't think he gets in. Phil Simms should be in. Joe Theismann should be in. Doug Williams should be in. I think LaMonica out of all these guys. But none of these quarterbacks are going to be my pick. Running backs, Alan Amici. You can't talk about the greatest. If you Google the greatest game ever played, you're going to find the 1958 NFL championship game between the Colts and the Giants. You can't talk about that game without Alan Amici. He's one of the greatest fullbacks, running backs, whatever you want to call him, of all time. He should have been in a while ago. You can't talk about that Colts team without him. Otis Anderson, longevity, man. I mean, we don't even talk about his Cardinals days. We talk about his Giants days, and he was great with both of them. John Arnett, no. Larry Brown, his MVP really carries him, especially 1972 when we had the Dolphins. He gets carried by that. Timmy Brown, great all-around player. I don't think he'll get in. Ernest Biner, no. Roger Craig is gonna more than likely be one of my three. He redefined, like you said, he redefined the running back position. He was a game changer. That 1,000 yard season, even if you take that away, he still has an amazing career. He has everything you need to be in the Hall of Fame. So why isn't he? John David Crow, he's got the stats. That's really it. Clem Daniels, great AFL running back, probably should be in. Hugh Dixon is the first name on any of these lists I've never seen. So I will have to research him. That's hard to stump me. I know a lot of great players. I've never heard of him. Chuck Foreman, great running back. I don't think he'll get in. Willie Gallimore, more than likely not. Pat Harder is a great name. He should probably be in. Marv Hubbard, no. Cecil Isbell also played quarterback. So, all right, this one's an interesting one. So with my projected stats, the record for the most passing touchdowns in a season would go to Cecil Isbell in 1942 when he was throwing to Don Hudson. Isbell was great for a short period of time. If I were to compare him to a player more recently playing, probably Andrew Luck, but this guy was winning rings and awards in like a 4 or 5 year time period. He should have been in a long time ago because Arnie Herber's in, another Packer legend who threw to Don Hudson. Don Hudson carried every quarterback who threw to him. But yeah, Cecil Isbell should have been in. Darryl Johnston. I mean, we can't talk about the run game of the Cowboys without him. Verne Llewellyn, yeah, he should be in. Christian Okoye, absolutely the Nigerian Nightmare, man.
I remember him.
Nightmare.
Yeah, he should have been in.
Big dude. Man, that's a big dude.
Bill Osmanski, probably. Glenn Presnell, no. Mark Van Egan, no. Herschel Walker, I feel, all right, this is my gripe with, it's called the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We don't talk about any other league but the NFL.
All right.
If you factor in Herschel Walker's USFL stats, Herschel Walker is one of the greatest running backs to ever walk the face of the earth. I firmly believe Herschel Walker should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have had a bust after 5 years. I know everybody wants to talk about the Herschel Walker trade, but you factor in those USFL years, his Cowboys years, his time with the Eagles too, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have had a bust already. Byron Whizzer White, yes, he needs to be in. Sammy Winder, no. Paul Tank Younger, great running back with the Rams when it was Bob Waterfield and Norm Van Brocklin. The 50s Rams, when they had Elroy Hirsch, they had the dynamic duo of Bob Waterfield, Norm Van Brocklin. Tank Younger was their running back during later on. I think he should be in. But out of all these guys, Roger Craig might more than likely be my guy that I'm one of the three that I end up picking. Wide receivers, tight ends. Mark Bavaro should have been in a while ago. Gino Capoletti should have been in a while ago. Raymond Chester, no. Todd Christensen.
Christensen.
I think here's something that I don't think people look at is specific position, leading your specific position in certain stats. So, like, why don't we ever look at, like, player tight ends leading the tight end position in catches, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns? Well, I have a spreadsheet that I went over every tight end who's led the position in catches, yards, and touchdowns. Todd Christensen should have walked in the Hall of Fame. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame pronto. Mark Clayton, great receiver. Should he be in? That's probably a big question mark for me. You could say a lot of reasons why he should be in. Gary Collins, great Browns receiver, should be in. Isaac Curtis, no. Carroll Dale, no. Lavi Dilwig, he's on the 1920s or 30s all-decade team. I believe, my firm belief is if you ever make an all-decade team, you should be in the Hall of Fame because that means you were the best for a 10-year time period. What else do you want? Boyd Dowler. Exactly. Boyd Dowler should be in. Henry Ellard should have been in. Jimmy Giles should have been in. Billy Houghton, no. Harold Jackson, yes. This is one of my three. If I was sitting in the Hall of Fame room with the committee, my first gripe would have been the Antonio Gates thing. But for years, Billy White Shoes Johnson should have been in the Hall of Fame. He's the only member of the 75th anniversary team and 100th anniversary teams that's just not in the Hall of Fame. He's the only one. He's one of the greatest return specialists ever. He really created this like aura to himself that like made the game popular, especially during a time where hitting was a big thing in the 70s. And you had Billy White Shoes Johnson doing his dance.
Doing my honorary Billy White Shoes. You can't see it, but I'm doing my Billy White Shoes Johnson thing.
Right.
Shout out to you, Billy White Shoes. This is for you. Yep. Okay.
Billy White Shoes needs to be in yesterday. I mean, I don't know how the same committee who does the 75th, the anniversary teams, also says that Billy White Shoes Johnson isn't a Hall of Famer. Like, you can't talk to me straight to my face and tell me that. So yeah, that's one of my three. Brent Jones.
He's one of the main reasons I started watching the Falcons was, because he played in the 70s. And let me tell you, the first time I saw him take a touchdown and do that, I was spellbound. I had to be 7 or 8, and I'm like, I'm watching it, you know what I mean? And, back then, my dad was one of those to not be flashy because I wanted to stand up and do it. And my dad was like, don't you dare. Don't you sit down. I was in my seat like, go Billy, go Billy. And I like that was, yeah, man. So I wanted to put him in, but again, you only gave me 3, damn it. So anyway, shame on you, Jordan. You only gave me 3.
Yeah, shame on me.
I feel like I betrayed Billy White Shoes, damn it. But go ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
All good. Brent Jones, no. Homer Jones, no. Ken Kavanaugh had one really good year, no. Stanley Morgan, yes. Art Powell. I had this. If you go back to the YouTube video I've done, I was going over last year's 3 finalists, and I correctly predicted the 2 of the 3 would get in, and that Art Powell would not get in. I think he was very good for his era. And I used projected stats to kind of show how good he was. He's very good for his era. But I knew that he wasn't going to get in. I knew the Pro Football Hall of Fame wasn't going to look at that. Right. Mike Quick, I don't think Mike Quick should be in the Hall of Fame. I know a lot of Eagles fans love Mike Quick. I like watching old highlights of Mike Quick. I just don't think he did enough for the whole league as a whole. I'll definitely vote him into the Gridiron Hall of Fame, definitely. Bob Scarpito, no. Sterling Sharp, really? Sterling Sharp should have been in years ago. Even Shannon Sharp says that he can't believe the better Sharp isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yeah, he should have been in. He might end up being one of my 3. Del Schaffner should have been in. Pat Stud still. Yeah. John Taylor, underrated, I think, when we're talking about like all like the dynasties and like specific players that impacted the team. I'm very underrated. John Taylor. I don't think he'll get in, but I'm glad he's even on this list.
They don't
Lionel
win
Taylor.
Super Bowl without him.
Oh yeah.
That 89 Super Bowl without him. So agreed. Very much underrated.
Mm-hmm. Lionel Taylor and Otis Taylor and Rick Upchurch, all 3 kind of fall in the same category of helping the AFL out. And I think there needs to be more AFL representation in the Hall of Fame. And I think all 3 of them should be in. Bobby Walson was the Eagles' all-time leader in points. And for a very long period of time, he was one of the best Eagles of all time. I do think he should be in. And Billy Wilson, I always think about Billy Wilson, whether he should be in or not. I'm not too sure. Yeah, when it comes to receivers, I mean, Billy White Shoes is one of my 3, and Sterling Sharp, I'm still thinking about it. Offensive lineman, Harris Barton, no. Dick Barwigan, no. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of point out names that hit me right away. Chris Hinton, Joe Jacoby, Al Wistert, Ed White, Dick Schaffrith, Scaffrith. I might be pronouncing the name wrong. Nate Newton. I think Chris Hinton, Joe Jacoby should probably be in. I don't think Bill Fralick also is on here. Ox Emerson. There's just so many good ones. Ray Donaldson's on here. Ed Budd. Every time I look at I'm making a Chiefs all-time team, I always look at Ed Budd and I look at his resume. I'm like, wow, why is he not in the Hall of Fame? Al Wistert probably should be. Jim Tyrer, out of all of these guys, needs to be in. He single-handedly helped the Chiefs build like an AFL dynasty in the 60s and 70s. He really helped block for Len Dawson, and he was a very important part to that offense. Yeah, out of any of these guys, Jim Tyrer. Defensively, there's a lot of good defensive players. Lyle Alzado is a great option. This is the most interesting name now, since we now know unofficial sacks, and who has the unofficial sack record is Al Bubba Baker. Is how does that influence the Pro Football Hall of Fame's opinion on things? I think he had a pretty solid career. Roger Brown, Mark Gastineau, Bill Glass, L.C. Greenwood. There's so many good options. Leslie O'Neal statistically should be in the Hall of Fame. Bill Stanfield, Jim Marshall, I've been screaming for years, should have been in the Hall of Fame. Ed Too Tall Jones, he doesn't have the longevity and the list of accolades to throw him in the Hall of Fame, and I think his popularity is the reason why he's even on here. And I'll be the one to say that. Out of all these guys, Jim Marshall, yeah, he's been a guy that since I think for over 10 years, I've been saying, why is Jim Marshall not in the Hall of Fame? And since unofficial sacks became notable, that's proving me right. He's part of the Purple People Eaters defense, and he really should be in. Linebackers, Carl Banks, great option. Maxie Bowen, great option. Bill Berge, I met Bill Berge, awesome guy. I have his autograph. Dan Connors, solid. Mike Curtis, no. Joe Fortunato, I think he should have been in. Larry Grantham should have been in. Tom Jackson should have been in. Vaughn Johnson should have been in. Leroy Jordan should have been in. Seth Joyner, Wilbur Marshall, Rod Martin, Clay Matthews Jr. should have been in. Carl May, all these guys should have been in. Every single one of them. Clay Matthews, I think, is getting a little bit more support as of recently. I think he's the most likely person to go in this year, I think. I don't think any of these – I think there are a lot of players at other positions, though, that I would pick over everybody in the linebackers. And that's not saying that this is weak. There's depth in this linebacking group. I don't think there's one name in particular that stands out to me like in other positions. Let's see. And then defense backs, Dick Anderson. I helped out the 72 Dolphins a lot. Bobby Boyd, great option. Joey Browner, awesome. Duron Cherry, awesome. Nolan Cromwell, Thom Darden, Don Dahl, Pat Fisher, Dave Grayson. There's so many good DBs. Merton Hanks, Lester Hayes. Lester Hayes is one of my three. Lester Hayes, I know people are going to talk about the Stickum, but why is Fred Biletnikoff in then?
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that and I said this just on Sunday, that the gloves that the NFL players wear now are as effective as Stickum was. If anything, the gloves now are even better than Stickum was, because Stickum you had to actually like lather yourself up in. But Lester Hayes has the greatest season by a defensive back ever. He had, what was it? He had 13 interceptions. I think he had like 19 interceptions in total on the whole season, including the playoffs. And nobody's even frankly close. Nobody's ever been close to him. Even after the Stickum got outlawed, he still was a dominant corner. So, yeah, I think Lester Hayes should be in. I will scream on my knees in front of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, put Lester in the Hall of Fame. I've supported Ed Meador. I'm probably pronouncing that name, but I've followed his Facebook page since I got a Facebook, because I remember researching the Rams history, and I thought, wow, this guy's got a Hall of Fame resume. And for years, his family's been trying to get him in the Hall of Fame, and I think he's got a really good resume to be put into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, a lot of these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. I think the majority of them I look at and I'm like, wow, I can't believe they're not in the Hall.
And shout out to the chat, man, too. Shout out to the chat. We don't have the Dixon Raid come through the Dixon Raid. Man, I'm the man Ryan, the historian in here. I figured you end up popping in here. This is your type of topic right here. So yeah, man. We gotta get Ryan in here one day too, man. Seriously. Yeah, so shout out to everybody in the chat, man.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. Thanks for coming out here. We're just wrapping up now. Lester Hayes is one of my DBs. That's one of my 3 picks. Kickers, punters. The list should be bigger than just these 3 guys. That's laughable. I think these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. Like I said before with the kickers and punters, I think if we're talking about the greatest kickers and punters of all time, these are the greatest kickers and punters of all time. And then special teamers, Mel Gray, I kind of put in the same conversation as Billy White Shoes Johnson, one of the original great pure returners. And he should be in. And then Steve Tasker should have been in a while ago. The fact that Devin Hester is in now proves to me Steve Tasker should be in. Steve Tasker and Matthew Slater are the 2 greatest gunners of all time. And it's those 2 and everybody else. And both of them are Hall of Famers. Both of them should be in the Hall of Fame. And this third option, I don't even know. I love Roger Craig as an option, Sterling Sharp as an option, Jim Marshall, Steve Tasker. I think that group right there.
It's so many, man. It's so many.
I love all those options, and I think I'm gonna stick with what I've been going with for over 10 years now. And Jim Marshall is gonna be the third guy for me. But really, I will heavily pursue Billy White Shoes Johnson and Lester Hayes being in the Hall of Fame, and they should have been in years ago.
Yep.
But yeah, those are our picks for our senior nominees and the modern era nominees. So
Yeah,
um
tough job.
yeah. Oh yeah. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a whole?
Very subjective. Very subjective. Um, mm,
It's
mm.
tough. It's tough. Like I'm not there. I'm not on the committee. A lot of these guys that are here, I watched play as a kid. And so I can admit, some of these guys were my heroes growing up. So I'm glad I don't have that as an occupation because that's tough, man. Some of these guys are
Yeah.
like it is just criminal that Roger Craig is. I don't understand. Again, for those of you who are not old enough to know, Roger Craig ran the best routes as a running back I've ever seen.
Yeah, he did his thing.
Hole, he was as fast as lightning. He could run you over. He could run around you. He was perfect for that West Coast offense. And I don't think that they have a dynasty without him. And I just think that I think it's a shame that he's not in there. I think it's a shame that Jack Tatum, of all people, Jack Tatum, okay, Jack Tatum. I cannot tell you how many highlights, and we didn't have ESPN in the 70s. Okay, we had 3 channels total before cable. Okay, 3, 4 max, and I watched a lot of Raiders games growing up, man. I watched a lot of Falcons games, but Jack Tatum was that dude, man. I cannot believe he is not in the Hall of Fame. Like, so I don't know. I don't envy those who have to make that selection, but to me, it's like there seems to be a lot of gatekeeping going on. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how Doug Williams is not in the Hall of Fame. I really don't. I don't, and I could agree. Boom should be. Boomer never won a championship, but he was a great quarterback, not a good quarterback, a great one. So I would not want to be on that committee because I probably would argue with everybody because I put a whole lot of people in first year. Yeah, no. We're gonna stop this right here, buddy. Nobody knew us getting in until we go and rectify some stuff. Okay, saw it's going down. That's what we're doing today, people. All right, go ahead and get your coffee. Okay, get your donuts. We're gonna be here all day. Okay. All right. I'm here to chew gum and rewrite this list, and I'm all out of gum. Let's go. So no, I mean, I just, I don't, bro. Even look at this list. Like, look at this list, right? Look at. I mean, you could argue Otis Anderson. No Roger Craig. Like, come on, Christian Okoye. You know how many people Christian Okoye ran over? There's some guys he's probably still giving nightmares to right now. Like, that dude was, oh my God. Christian Okoye is not on that list. Mark Bavaro. Didn't he win 2 rings with the Giants? With Bill Parcells?
Yeah.
Oh, just one. I thought he won 2. Todd Christensen, Henry Ellard. I remember him. Billy White Shoes Johnson is not on that list. Are you kidding me?
I just realized there's one name that's not on this list on either list, and he should be in the modern era list if anything. Let me double check real quick if he's even on this list. He is not on this list. Wow, Mike Allstott.
Yeah, I don't understand. I really don't understand.
That's another one.
Yeah, Mike and Allstott, we trust. I cannot believe that. All right, so I'm gonna admit this. I'm going to admit this. I'm going to admit this. And Chris is probably going to kick me out of the club. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris is my partner. Chris is my friend. I'm tight with Chris, but I think Chris is going to block my number after this. I did in the early 2000s. I did have a lapse in judgment and purchase a Mike Allstott jersey. I know. I'm ashamed. I'm a Falcons fan. I know, Chris. I know. All right, I know, but it was the one time. Okay,
Hey, that's you, man. Hey, I ain't got nothing to say.
I love. See, right? That right there is disapproval,
I
Jordan.
ain't got nothing to say, man.
That is. He's my friend. Like if he wasn't my friend, he'd be like, "I can't believe you did this." But that's really what he's thinking. Like, but bro, Mike Allstott used to truck people, man. Remember Chris
Nah,
Burke?
he was a beast.
Remember he'd be like, boom, boom, boom. Mike in Allstott, we trust. You're Tampa, but bro, that Mike. I mean, I love me some Mike Allstott, man. Mike Allstott was just fun, dude. He was fun. He was fun.
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about like fullbacks since when was the last time we had a fullback inducted into the Hall of Fame? It's probably not in the last, not this century.
Yeah.
I mean, that it sucks because when you're looking at like fullbacks, like, all right, if you want to go back to probably the 90s is where that trend started to change. Daryl Johnson should probably be in. And then later on, we get into the 2000s. Mike Allstott is the best fullback. He's better than Juszczyk. Juszczyk should be in the Hall of Fame when he retires because he's been the best fullback for the last decade. I mean, we didn't get even this was the 2010s all decade team was the first all decade team where we didn't get a fullback, and Juszczyk should have been in there. There's a list of fullbacks, but then there's Mike Allstott. That's just he redefined the position, and he brought it back to a time that it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the numbers. He does have the numbers that he.
Mike was that dude, man. Mike was because he could run it,
A-Train.
block, he could catch, he was a
Mhm.
receiver, like he was everything, dude. And not only that, but he's the first fullback. Well, not the first, but he's one of the few that I can remember. It was fun to watch him. Like it was fun to watch him. Like when Mike got the ball, you're like, oh shit. Especially if you're at the 5-yard line, forget about oh shit. Who is Mike gonna pancake now? Oh, here we go. Now, again, I never rooted for him when they played the Falcons because I love my Falcons. I mean, don't get it twisted. Falcon fan for life. But I can't believe Allstott is not only not in, but not on that list because he was dominant. I mean, dominant. Like I can't think of another fullback in recent times that's as dominant as him, who ran the ball and blocked at the same time. Like, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know about.
Here's a list of fullbacks that are on there and have played since he left. John Kuhn, Lorenzo Neal, Tony Richardson.
Yeah, Lorenzo Neal's that dude, man. I like Lorenzo Neal, but none of them are Allstott. None of them.
I agree.
Yeah,
I don't think any of them touch him.
That big fella get going, man. Woof.
Yeah.
Woof.
Chris, how about you? Is there one player that you don't see on there that you think should have been a nominee?
Well, I mean, of course, it's going to be Jesse Tuggle for me.
Yeah.
Jesse Tuggle should be on this list. It's crazy. Again, I mean, Zach Thomas, he's on the list, but Jesse Tuggle's not even a nominee. That's crazy to me.
That's criminal. That's criminal.
Yeah. So honestly, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of legends on this list, man, that should be honestly in the Pro Football Hall of Fame already. A lot of names that we've already touched on and stuff, but yeah, I mean Jesse Tuggle, I think he needs to be a nominee. I understand Mike Allstott too. That's a great pool, but yeah, Jesse Tuggle, man, he has to be getting on this list, man, ASAP. Seriously.
T. Will, how about you? Is there one player that you don't see on either list that you think should be in, or a nominee even?
I mean, I'm gonna go with Chris. I mean, Jesse Tuggle should, especially being a Falcons fan, like Jesse Tuggle should be It's not even close. He suffers for being on bad teams, but Jesse Tuggle was dominant. I mean, just dominant because he could do it all. He could cover. He could definitely hit. Oh my God, could he hit? So I don't know, man. I'm with Chris on that one. I'm with Chris.
So I want to confirm the dates on this one player I'm about to name because he played a very, very long time ago. He played in the 30s and 40s. That when I was going through like my projected stats spreadsheet, and if you haven't looked at our last live stream going over the Falcons all-time team, you'll see exactly what I was talking about. I've also have articles. It's projecting stats throughout NFL history to today, statistically speaking, based off projections and based off what has already happened. There's not really bias, any physical bias. It's more just statistics based. It's like you would approach the stock market and projecting like what something would be 5-10 years from now. So when I was doing this, I started looking at like receivers and looking at like players that led the league in certain stats and what their stats would have been. And the one name that sticks out, obviously, as a wide receiver or as a receiver, Don Hudson sticks out so much. But the one name that also sticks out is Jim Benton. Now, Jim Benton played in the 30s and 40s with the Rams. Nobody's gonna remember him now. There's very few people that are alive that probably got to watch him play. If they had a chance to watch him play, they're probably in their 80s. Jim Benton, statistically speaking, is one of the greatest receivers of all time, and he really should be in. I think he should be held in the same breath as. We're talking about Rams wide receivers, we'll just talk about Rams wide receivers. We'll go back. We'll start at the beginning and then we'll work our way here. Okay. They started with Elroy Hirsch and Tom Fears, two Hall of Famers. Okay. At one point, they had Harold Jackson, who's a nominee on here, Henry Ellard, who's a nominee on here. Then they had Isaac Bruce, Hall of Famer, Torrey Holt, soon to be Hall of Famer, also a nominee on here. Now they got Cooper Kupp, Oz, the great and powerful Oz. Mm-hmm. Cooper Kupp had basically an MVP season. Now we can put Cooper Kupp in that conversation. Brandon Cooks was on there, Robert Woods, even in recent memory.
Was Allworth a Ram?
He's a Charger.
That's okay.
And Jim Benton is definitely in that conversation. My one issue with the Pro Football Hall of Fame is they really don't look at, because they started in 1963, I believe they opened up. There's a whole list of history that they're just missing of pro football. Pro football was around for 80 years before the Pro Football Hall of Fame existed. Mm-hmm. And we have nobody outside the NFL that's in it. And when it comes to players before the Hall of Fame started, there's not really that many. And people want to say, well, that's because football wasn't that good. Yeah. But it's a different era.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at projected stats, Benton, he should have been in a long time ago. He was a great route runner, great hands for his time. And he was lightning quick. So, yeah, that's my guy that I'm thinking of that's not on here. That's an oldie but goodie. Definitely him. There's obviously some other guys I could go on forever about guys that should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't. But that's who I have. Yeah. So,
to be an American is to be a narcissist. Because it didn't happen until, if we didn't see it, it didn't happen. And that's a very arrogant statement. You know what I mean? Hank Aaron was in baseball, arguably one of the best hitters of all time. But Sadahara O, who played in the Japanese league, I think he hit 800 home runs. There are those who argue that Josh Gibson, who played in the Negro leagues, may have hit 800 plus home runs. So, but I mean, again, if you didn't see it, and a lot of these guys you didn't get a chance to see, it's a shame because these guys still accomplish things, and I think like you, they should still be recognized. But
Yes.
in our, I think it's just human nature to go with what you've seen. My dad and I would argue all the time about who was better, Andrew Jones or he just died. Willie McCovey, not Willie McCovey.
Willie
Um,
Mays.
Willie Mays, and we would argue. We would argue because he'd be like, "No, it's Willie Mays." I'm like, "Dad, I ain't see Willie Mays play, but I see Andrew Jones every night, and I'm telling you, it's Andrew Jones tonight." It would make him so mad. Oh, he would be, you know what I mean? But respectfully to my dad, I didn't see Willie Mays plays. He says Willie Mays was the greatest he's seen. That's fine. So there's a degree of subjectiveness to it that if you didn't see it, you just can't understand. And Jordan, I think you're one of the few individuals who you bring numbers to life. So you not only can see, but you can interpret, okay, what that means in today's terms. Because most people can't, right? Most people see a guy in the 30s playing football with no mask and they're like, whatever. But they don't understand, no, this guy was really that good. Let's take his numbers and translate them to today's. And most people can't do that. So I think that's probably why there is that bias. But again, with the advent of or the inception of technology and fusion into the game, maybe these folks will start getting they're just desserts. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe you should, if you feel that strongly about them, maybe you should reach out to some NFL contacts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And while you do that, let's talk about Billy White Shoes, okay? Because that's bullshit. And
Oh yeah.
Craig as well. While you do that, while you're going,
Absolutely.
while you're
Roger,
there.
I'm not. I see. With Roger, I feel like he's gonna get in soon. Like he's one of those guys. I don't think it's gonna be like Billy. Like Billy White Shoes Johnson. The reason he's not in it, I think, is because he was primarily a special teamer, but that's where he made his emphasis on. And I just, my gut tells me Roger's gonna get in soon. It might be this year. His resume is just so great that it's so hard to like talk about him and say, "Oh, I don't want that guy I don't think that guy should be a Hall of Famer." Like when it comes to voting for the Hall of Fame, it's a yes/no thing. You need 80% of your votes for senior nominee. It might be both. They changed the rules a lot this year and the past couple of years. Like Bill Belichick's now eligible for the Hall of Fame, and so is Pete Carroll. It's weird. But when it comes to Roger, he's got the regular season stats. He's got all the accolades. He's revolutionized the position. If you look at his receiving stats, he's among the best. You look at his postseason success outside of even the Super Bowls. He has everything you want. So, and I don't know how someone can say out loud everything he's done and say no. So that frustrates me. He's gonna get in soon. He's got to. And if he does, if 10 years from now, I'm still talking about the fact that Roger Craig's not in the Hall of Fame, that's when I'll get upset. Because there's no reason. I understand why Billy's not in. I understand why Jim Marshall's not in. I understand why some of these guys aren't in. Jim Benton, I get that. That one I don't really get all that much. He's got everything you need. It's sort of like how I was talking about Terrell Suggs and Aqib Talib. He's got everything. They got everything you need. So, yeah, I won't. It's not something that like I will harp on because I know that he's gonna get his due soon. I have that confidence that that's going to happen. All right.
Yeah. Hey, you guys hit the nail right on the head, man. Seriously.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was fun, guys.
No, this was, man. This
was
this.
awesome.
Hey, we're gonna have to do a recap, man, or something like when it actually goes down and come back to this, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, yeah, man. I think
All right. Well,
it'll be a fun conversation.
all right. Chris, tell them where they can find you.
Oh man, A1 Forever Sports on YouTube. That's the platform, man. Again, come on over, have a sports conversation. Be generational because it's always time to be, and make sure you find your piece today. Honestly, man, I like to thank Jordan and T Will for doing this with me, and some the invite and everything. Man, I almost went 3 hours on this thing. So hey, hopefully, thank you to everyone that tuned in. Definitely appreciate you guys for coming through and showing love to the channels, and make sure you show love to all 3 channels. You take a see my ATL Sports 1, and of course A1 Forever. You can catch me on Twitter at A1ROC, or just type in A1 Forever. I should still pop up. Same thing for Instagram, A1 Forever, and the real A1 Forever on TikTok, man. So just come by, man, and give your boy a like and subscribe. This will be greatly appreciated too. And we're gonna keep on pushing, man. We got Falcons and Chiefs coming up, so post game is gonna be on Monday for that. But still, just look forward to more videos coming out. I got some things in the works that I'm working on. I send shorts and videos and stuff like that. I'm trying to get out before the weekend really hits. So, yeah.
All right, T. Will, where can they find you?
Yes, sir. I got to give a shout out to Chris. First off, if Chris is not doing your video, you're just not doing it. And then secondly, if Chris were a rapper, he would be Busta Rhymes because he's just versatile.
Oh Lord,
He's just versatile. And he's on everybody's shit. Like, I mean, you look up there, there's Chris. Chris up, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, let's be real, right? Busta Rhymes did Look at Me Now, which is still being cloned by 20 million people. I mean, hell, you got it on a video game. It's crazy. He did that. And then he did other songs that he's just versatile, right? He's versatile. And when I think of versatility, I think of A1. So I got to give my man A1 a shout out, man. He can do Hall of Fame. He can do football. He can do baseball. He can do basketball. Hell, he probably could do lacrosse. I don't know. Probably
that
all.
would be something new. That definitely would be something new for sure. Huh?
Maybe even hockey, but I know he's versatile. So anyway, I got to give my friend his props. All right.
I appreciate it, brother.
As always, brother. And Jordan, thank you for having me on this. This was fun. Always appreciate it. Number one, I learned a lot today. That's number one. So let me say that. I did learn a lot. A lot I liked, some I didn't. Roger Craig, Billy White Shoes Johnson. You be correct that shit. But anyway, I can be found at One Time for the Fan. Shout out to Mr. Jack Spade. Shout out to Carrie. Shout out to Bodie. One Time for the Fan. We air Sundays, Wednesdays, and Friday mornings. And then, of course, I can be found at For My ATL Sports 1 at YouTube. That's the number 4, My ATL Sports 1, the number 1, actually, at YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe to both. It was so much fun doing this. And hey, Jordan, I hope we can get together and do this again. And, Jordan, I respect you so much. I didn't even bring up the fact that my Falcons beat your Eagles. You know what I mean? And looking back on that, like, wow, Chris, we didn't even bring it up.
I think you just did.
No. That is what the industry, as a shameless plug. It's like it's a sneak diss, right? It's not a Kendrick diss. It's more subtlety, right? Kind of like how Justin did to whoever when it was like, oh damn, that's right, you wasn't there. Look for you on the award. So I gotta get at you a little bit, Jordan. Let me tell you about Jordan, right? So was it Sunday, Chris, that he sent us that text that was like good luck, but you felt like it was.
I say good luck to everybody. I say good luck to. I was like good luck.
No,
like, anyone who knows me knows I'm very unless you're a Cowboys fan, I will flat out. I'll straight up tell you, you're not winning this game. Which, by the way, that was an awesome game, Saints.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold up.
Yeah.
You're in conflict this week, aren't you, Jordan? I just thought about that.
Yeah. Saints and Eagles.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Mom and Dad are playing each other. Oh, what? So
he's stupid.
we gotta. I don't know. What, so are you going with Dad or are you going with Mom, Jordan? Talk to me. Who are you gonna spend the weekend with? What's up? What are we doing?
So, all right. Normally, like I went to last year's game at the link, and that was always been a dream of mine to watch the Saints and Eagles play each other in person. It's like you're watching. I explained this to my mom last night. I was like, it's like, all right, I don't got kids. I'm 23. But like, if you had two kids that are fighting to the death, and you don't have a favorite, you're like, I just want both of them to survive this. That's kind of how I view every single one of the games. Is I just don't want anyone to get hurt. I root for offense. I love offense. If the game was 98-99, I'd love it. Yeah, when it comes to these games, that's kind of how I approach them. It's funny because usually the day after these games happen, I end up more disappointed because either injuries happen or and obviously someone's going to lose. And I want both of them to win. So, but that's not going to happen. So that's kind of how I view these games.
So are you more leaning toward like the Eagles because they're coming off an L, or do you want the Saints to be undefeated? Like
every time I'm asked, do you lean a certain way? You definitely got to lean a certain way, and I really don't. I view it like if they tied, I'd be happy. I think if they tied, I'd be at my happiest.
I would.
But even then, that kind of affects the schedule, and I don't like that. So either way, I just if the Saints win, yeah, they're undefeated, but then the Eagles are 1-2, and that hurts. If Eagles win and the Saints lose, then I know the Saints are probably not as legit, and it's just the Cowboys suck because the Cowboys do suck. And like
that's hatred right there. Oh wow, that's hatred. I love it. I love it.
So I really don't ever lean any sort of way. I was asked that yesterday. I was asked that the day before. I remember going to school, and during the week, on Monday I'd be wearing like an Eagles jersey, and on Tuesday a Saints jersey, Wednesday an Eagles jersey, Thursday a Saints jersey, in some sort of order. And yeah, I mean, I've always been asked, you got to lean a certain way, and it's weird because depending on who you ask, they'll probably answer differently to say like, hey, what team does he like more? You got to tell me what team he likes more. And more people who are Eagles fans will tell me I support the Eagles more, and people who support the Saints think I support the Saints more. But when I'm around them, like when I'm around other Eagles fans, they don't want to hear me talk about the Saints. When I'm around other Saints fans, they don't want to hear me talk about the Eagles.
Yeah.
So so they hear what we both enjoy.
Right, correct. They hear that side of you. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the best way, and the best way I can explain this is, all right, outside of football, outside of sports, I like to watch movies. I like to watch Marvel movies, for example. I also love to watch horror movies.
Love it.
Watching horror movies is very different than watching a Marvel movie. Very completely opposite sides. Also, I like music. I love all kinds of music. Literally, my favorite artists are Michael Jackson, Eminem, Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran, Linkin Park, and so a wide variety. But if you told me the like how I view the Eagles and Saints, it's like I love listening to Michael Jackson, and I also love watching Marvel movies. Like it's two different things
Right.
that
Right.
just don't feel like one is better than the other. That's
Right.
the best
Good.
way I can explain that.
Understood. My brother and I have this ongoing argument. Now, I am a Georgia fan. Okay. I am a devout Georgia fan. Georgia is number one with me. I was born in Alabama. I'm 53. I'll be 54 this year. And I've been here for 50 years. I'm a Georgia fan. However, my maternal family, every single one of those people, love Alabama because I'm from Alabama. So when Georgia is not playing, right? Let's say Georgia's out of it. Okay. Let's say Georgia's out of it. Then and only then in that scenario do I root for Alabama. I'm lying. There's one other scenario, and that's anytime they play Auburn. Because if you're from Alabama, then you understand that that's like Saints and Falcons. That is rivalry. Okay. Families have been split up because of this. And Auburn sucks, Eric. Just so you know, Auburn sucks.
He said that with his chest too.
I did, because whatever. So, but I love Georgia. Georgia and Alabama play each other. It's Georgia all day and twice on Sunday, right? I'm Georgia. For the most part, I don't care about Alabama unless we're out of it and we have no choice, or unless Alabama plays Auburn. And then it's an opportunity to mess with my brother. And that's one of the pleasures of life, is just messing with your little brother. And those of you who have little brothers understand this. I don't have to explain this. It's just a part of life. Okay? That's it. But I get it, Jordan. Like I'm not where you are, but I understand it, because I can only imagine the amount of grief that you get. I can only imagine it, because I get so much grief from my brother, and it's not fair, because he's like, pick a side, and I'm like, I have picked a side. I picked a side. I don't like your team, mother. I don't like your team. Okay, your team sucks, because my dad's people are from Mobile, and they all support Auburn, which is weird. I don't know why, but anyway, so my maternal biological father's family, all Auburn fans. Love Auburn. I hate Auburn. Okay. Hate them. Hate them. Hate the colors. Hate everything about them. Even when they play Georgia, I hate them worse. Like I just hate Auburn. Right. That's like the one thing. So it's not so much that I love Alabama. It's just that I hate Auburn. You get it? I don't know if that makes sense. Whatever, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Gotcha.
And I say all this while I'm wearing a Nick Mangold Jets jersey. For those of you who don't know, I just got a jersey from all 32 teams, so now I have 100 jerseys 100 NFL jerseys in total. So and I figured, since we're talking about the Hall of Fame and guys who should be, I figured, why not throw on the Nick Mangold jersey? Plus the Jets just won last night. So, but anyways. Love talking to you guys, as always. Thanks to everybody who watched, tuned in. This is awesome, and we'll hope to do this again. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.